The galaxy had changed in 6 hours. 6 hours since UNSC Infinity's AMAC cannons tore through Separatist capital ships like they were made of paper. 6 hours since Master Chief and Blue Team held Coruscant's civilian sectors against droid armies that had never faced Spartans before. 6 hours since Captain Lasky made the choice that shattered neutrality and dragged the United Nations Space Command into a galactic civil war they barely understood. And 6 hours since AI, Roland detected encrypted transmissions between Supreme Chancellor Palpatine and the Separatist fleet attacking his own capital. Now, in the Infinity's main briefing room, that evidence played on holographic displays while Jedi Masters, Republic officers, and UNSC command personnel watched in silence. The encryption was Sith-level sophisticated, but Roland had cracked it with computational power that made the galaxy's best slicers look like children with toys. "This is impossible," Admiral Yularen said, his face pale. "The Chancellor coordinating with Separatist forces? That would mean... It means he's playing both sides," Roland's avatar interrupted, his RAF officer appearance grim. "And has been since the war began. Analysis of communication timestamps shows Palpatine has been in contact with Count Dooku throughout the entire Clone Wars. Every major battle, every strategic decision, he's been orchestrating both factions." Mace Windu's expression was carved from stone. A Sith Lord, hiding in plain sight for over a decade. "Not just any Sith Lord," Obi-Wan said quietly, pieces falling into horrifying place. "The Sith Lord Darth Sidious, the Master Dooku serves. He's been the Chancellor the entire time." Anakin slammed his mechanical fist on the table. "We've been fighting his war, dying in his war. The clones, the Jedi, the entire Republic, all pieces in his game." "Worse," Roland continued, displaying more data. "I've analyzed Senate voting records, emergency powers legislation, military appropriations. Every vote, every emergency measure has systematically concentrated power in the Chancellor's office. The war isn't about Republic versus Separatists. It's about creating conditions for absolute executive authority." Captain Lasky stood at the head of the table, his command presence cutting through the shock. "Then we expose him. Broadcast this evidence across every Republic channel. Turn the Senate against him." "It won't work," Commander Palmer said, her Spartan instincts reading the tactical situation. "He's had years to position loyalists, create contingencies. The moment we move against him, he'll activate countermeasures we haven't identified yet." "She's right." Master Chief's voice carried the weight of 4 decades fighting enemies who planned in layers. "Men like Palpatine don't build empires on single plans. He'll have backups, fail-safes. We expose him publicly. He goes underground and triggers something worse." "Then what do you suggest?" Mace Windu asked, and there was no condescension in his tone. The Jedi Master had watched Spartans fight. He knew competence when he saw it. Chief looked at the tactical displays showing Coruscant, the Republic, and the millions of beings who had no idea their leader was a Sith Lord. "We hit him before he knows we're coming. Cut off his escape routes, disable his contingencies, and we do it quietly until we're ready for the loud part." "A covert operation," Obi-Wan said, understanding dawning. "Strike teams targeting Palpatine's assets while maintaining public appearance of normalcy." "Exactly," Lasky confirmed. "The UNSC has experience with this. We fought insurrectionists who embedded themselves in colonial governments. You don't expose them until you've already neutralized their ability to cause damage during exposure." Yularen leaned forward. "What assets? Where do we even start?" Roland's avatar gestured and new data flooded the displays. "I've been analyzing Palpatine's movements, communications, and financial transactions for the past decade, 3 critical targets emerge. The first image appeared. Kamino's cloning facilities, rain-swept and isolated. The clone army, Roland explained, specifically the inhibitor chips in every clone's brain. Palpatine calls it behavioral modification biochips, officially for controlling aggression. Actually, they're sleeper protocols. One command phrase, and every clone trooper in the Republic military becomes his personal assassin army. The briefing room went dead silent. Clone Commander Cody, present as Republic military liaison, spoke with barely controlled fury. "You're saying we're walking weapons waiting for activation?" "I'm sorry," Roland said, and for an AI, he sounded genuinely regretful. "But yes, Order 66, that's the protocol designation. Execute Order 66 and every clone receives a neurological compulsion to kill their Jedi commanders." Cody looked at Obi-Wan, the general who'd fought beside him for 3 years, the Jedi who trusted him with his life daily. "Sir, I would never—" "I know," Obi-Wan said firmly. "This isn't your choice, Commander. It's Palpatine's violation of your autonomy, which is exactly why we're going to remove those chips." "All of them?" Anakin asked. "There are millions of clones across the galaxy." "We start with Kamino," Chief stated. "The source. Roland, can you create a virus that deactivates the chips remotely?" "Already working on it," the AI confirmed. "But I'll need access to Kamino's genetic programming database. The chips are integrated at the neurological level. One wrong code sequence and we could cause brain damage to every clone simultaneously." "Then we go to Kamino," Palmer said. "Covert insertion. Spartans are trained for this." The second image appeared. A hidden facility in the deep core, massive and bristling with weapons. "Palpatine's backup plan," Roland continued. "A military research station that officially doesn't exist. My analysis suggests it's producing something significant. Massive power draws, encrypted supply shipments, communications blackout. Whatever he's building there, it's meant for after the war." "Super weapons?" Yularen guessed. "Or a new army," Mace Windu said darkly. "One not dependent on clones or separatist droids. Something he controls absolutely." The third image showed the Senate building itself, specifically a sub-level that wasn't on any official schematic. "His personal operations center," Roland finished. "Shielded, hidden, and connected to a network that spans the galaxy. This is where he coordinates both sides of the war. Take this out, and even if he escapes, he loses his ability to orchestrate galactic-scale manipulation." Lasky studied all 3 targets, 3 simultaneous operations, different skill sets required for each. "We'll need to split our forces." "Kamino requires stealth and technical expertise," Chief assessed. "Blue Team, Fire Team Osiris, and ODSTs. We insert quietly, upload Roland's virus, and extract before anyone knows we're there. The deep core facility needs overwhelming firepower," Palmer added. "Infinity and our frigate escorts. Hit hard, hit fast, destroy whatever Palpatine's building before it becomes operational." "And the Senate operation?" Obi-Wan asked. "Jedi," Mace Windu stated. "We confront Palpatine directly, arrest him or eliminate him. Once his operation center is destroyed and the clone chips are deactivated, he loses his 2 primary weapons. At that point, exposure becomes viable." "There's significant risk," Yularen warned. "If any operation fails, Palpatine will know we're moving against him. He'll activate whatever contingencies he has." "Then we don't fail," Anakin said simply. "Agreed," Chief confirmed. "Spartans never quit. We've faced worse odds." Roland's avatar flickered with what might have been concern. "There's one more thing. Those encrypted transmissions I detected earlier, the third-party network. I've traced some of them. They're not Republic, not separatist. They're something else. Someone's been watching all of us. The UNSC, the Jedi, Palpatine, someone with intelligence capabilities that rival Oni. Another player, Lasky said grimly. How many factions are we actually dealing with? Unknown, Roland admitted. But whoever they are, they know about Infinity. They know about Spartans, and they've been silent. That concerns me more than if they'd made contact. Obi-Wan stroked his beard thoughtfully. The Sith operate in pairs, master and apprentice. If Palpatine is the master and Dooku is the apprentice, then by Sith tradition, there shouldn't be others. Unless Palpatine is preparing to replace Dooku, Mace Windu finished. Which means there could be another Sith apprentice we haven't identified. Someone younger, more powerful, being groomed for when Dooku is no longer useful. The implications settled over the briefing room like a shroud. How long do we have? Anakin asked. Not long, Roland calculated. Palpatine will notice the Separatist fleet's destruction. He'll wonder why his attack on Coruscant failed so catastrophically. Once he reviews battle data and realizes the UNSC used MAC cannons, weapons he can't counter easily, he'll start implementing contingencies. I estimate we have 72 hours before he moves to consolidate power or disappear entirely. Then we move in 48, Lasky decided. 24 hours to prepare, 24 hours to execute all 3 operations simultaneously. Captain's standing order. This is now the UNSC's priority mission. Forget getting home. Forget dimensional travel research. We finish this first. Sir, Palmer said carefully, that's a significant strategic commitment to someone else's war. This stopped being someone else's war the moment we discovered a Sith Lord has been orchestrating galactic genocide, Lasky replied. The UNSC doesn't ignore extinction-level threats. Palpatine's plan, whatever its endgame, is designed to kill billions, maybe trillions. We stop him. That's not negotiable. Chief nodded approval. Lasky understood what Spartans understood. Some fights you couldn't walk away from even when they weren't your fights to begin with. Blue Team, Chief addressed his family, prep for Camino, full stealth loadout. We're going deep into enemy territory to perform surgery on an entire army. No room for error. Affirmative, Fred, Kelly, and Linda responded in unison. Mace Windu ignited his lightsaber briefly, not a threat, but a salute. The Jedi Order stands with you. Whatever comes, we face it together. One more thing, Cody said, his voice hard. When you remove those chips from my brothers on Camino, save the data. I want evidence. I want every clone in this army to know what was done to us, what we almost became. Documented and preserved, Roland promised. Every clone will know the truth. As the briefing concluded and personnel dispersed to prepare for operations that would reshape galactic history, Master Chief remained, studying the holographic display of Camino. Rain, endless rain, cloning facilities built on platforms above ocean depths, security that had never faced Spartans. Thinking about the mission? Lasky asked, approaching. Thinking about the clones, Chief replied. They're soldiers, good ones, but they never had a choice. Created for war, programmed for betrayal. They deserve better. So do Spartans, Lasky observed quietly. You were taken as children, augmented, trained to be weapons. The UNSC did to you what Palpatine did to the clones. Chief was silent for a long moment. The difference is, we made our peace with what we are. The clones haven't had that chance yet. This mission gives it to them. Then make it count, Chief. 72 hours to stop a Sith Lord, save an army, and prevent whatever nightmare Palpatine has waiting in the wings. No pressure. Behind his helmet, John 117 allowed himself the smallest smile. "Just another Tuesday, sir." 48 hours until 3 operations launched that would either save the galaxy or doom it. The countdown had begun. And in his office beneath the Senate, Darth Sidious felt a disturbance in the Force. Something had changed. Variables were moving in patterns he hadn't predicted. The UNSC was proving more dangerous than anticipated. Time to remind them that in his galaxy only 2 choices existed: serve his purposes or be destroyed. His yellow eyes gleamed in the darkness as he began activating contingencies the Jedi and UNSC couldn't imagine. Let them come, let them try. He would show them what happened when mortals challenged a Sith Lord who'd orchestrated galactic domination for decades. The game was about to become far more deadly. Kamino's orbital approach was a nightmare of sensor interference and atmospheric turbulence. The planet-wide storm system that perpetually shrouded the cloning world made conventional detection difficult. For UNSC stealth technology, it was perfect cover. The Prowler's silent cartographer dropped out of slipspace at the system's edge. Its active camouflage engaged before the exit flash could register on Kaminoan sensors. Inside the cramped stealth corvette, Master Chief stood with Blue Team, Fire Team Osiris, and 20 ODSTs in the drop bay. Every armor system was set to silent running, every weapon loaded with subsonic ammunition. 60 seconds to drop zone, the pilot announced. Kaminoan defense grid is active, but they're not tracking us. Whatever that cloaking tech is, it works better than advertised. It's designed to hide from Covenant sensors, Commander Locke from Osiris replied. Compared to that, Kaminoan technology is decades behind. Chief studied the tactical overlay Roland had provided. Tipoxa City sprawled across multiple platforms above the ocean. The primary cloning facility sat at the center, a fortress of genetic engineering that had produced millions of clone troopers. Security was heavy: clone guards, automated defenses, Kaminoan overseers, but security designed for external threats, not internal infiltration. Mission objectives, Chief stated, his voice carrying across the squad channel. Primary: access the genetic programming database. Upload Roland's virus to deactivate inhibitor chips across the entire clone army. Secondary: extract genetic samples and chip programming data for evidence. Tertiary: avoid casualties if possible. These are our people we're saving. ROE? Asked an ODST sergeant named Martinez. Stun rounds first. Lethal force only if no alternative exists. We're not here to fight clones, we're here to free them. The Prowler shuddered slightly as it entered Kamino's atmosphere. Rain hammered against the hull with force that would have shredded conventional aircraft. The pilot compensated with adjustments so precise they were barely felt in the troop bay. 30 seconds. Depressurizing bay. The Spartans' shields flickered to full power as atmosphere vented. ODSTs checked their rebreather seals. Outside the open bay, Kamino's endless ocean stretched below, gray and violent under perpetual storm clouds. 10 seconds. Chief activated his thruster pack. Blue Team and Osiris did the same. The ODSTs prepared SOEIV pods, single-occupant exo-atmospheric insertion vehicles. Drop pods designed for orbital insertion, now modified for precision surface strikes. Go. 28 warriors dropped into Kamino's storm. Spartans controlled descent with thrusters, maneuvering through rain that would have blinded normal soldiers. ODSTs rode their pods down with controlled chaos that made clone LAT insertions look gentle. Linda's sniper rifle tracked guard positions through the storm. 12 contacts on Platform A. 7 standard patrol rotation. They're not alert. "They will be in 30 seconds," Kelly observed as the ODST pods began their terminal approach. Those things aren't exactly quiet. The first pod hit Tipoca City's landing platform with a thunderous impact that cracked duracrete and sent shockwaves through nearby structures. Clone troopers spun toward the sound, weapons rising. Then 19 more pods slammed down in rapid succession, a meteor shower of steel and violence that the clones had never trained for. "What the?" a clone sergeant managed before the pod's doors explosively deployed and ODSTs emerged firing. Stun rounds from M7 SMGs dropped clones before they could raise alarms. Non-lethal but brutally effective. The specialized ammunition delivered electrical charges that overloaded nervous systems without permanent damage. Within 15 seconds, the landing zone was secure, and unconscious clones were being zip-tied by ODSTs trained in rapid suppression techniques. Blue Team touched down silently on an adjacent platform, their thruster packs providing near-silent insertion. No alarms, no alerts. Perfect infiltration. Phase 1 complete, Chief reported, moving to objective. They moved through Tipoca City's gleaming corridors with Spartan efficiency. Motion trackers painted guard positions. Active camouflage rendered them nearly invisible to security cameras designed to detect clone armor, not Mjolnir's advanced stealth systems. When they encountered patrols, they used Covenant energy swords set to training mode, incapacitating strikes that left clones unconscious rather than dead. "Database access point ahead," Fred reported, highlighting a secured terminal on their HUD. "Heavy encryption. Roland, you're up." Connecting now, the AI's voice came through their comms. "Kaminoan security is, actually, quite impressive. Give me 30 seconds. A door hissed open behind them. 3 Kaminoan scientists emerged, their tall frames and dark eyes widening in shock at the armored giants in their facility. Kelly moved faster than they could scream, her hand covering the lead scientist's mouth, while Linda secured the other 2. No violence, just overwhelming physical control that made resistance pointless. "We're not here to hurt you," Chief said, his helmet's external speakers modulating his voice to sound less threatening. "We're here to fix a problem you didn't know existed." The lead scientist, her designation tag reading Nala Se, stopped struggling and studied Chief with scientific fascination rather than fear. "You're not clones. You're not Jedi. What are you?" "Allies," Chief replied. "The clones have inhibitor chips. Palpatine's going to use them to turn your creations into assassins. We're removing that programming." Nala Se's expression shifted to something between horror and disbelief. "Impossible. The behavioral chips are for medical stability. Chancellor Palpatine specifically requested—" "I'm in," Roland interrupted. "And she's right to be concerned. These chips are integrated at the neurological level with precision that's actually terrifying. Whoever designed this knew exactly what they were doing." "Can you deactivate them?" Fred asked. "I can do better. I can rewrite them. Change the Order 66 protocol into a diagnostic subroutine that identifies the attempted override and alerts the clone instead of executing it. Palpatine says the words, and instead of killing Jedi, the clones know someone just tried to hijack their brains." "Do it," Chief ordered. "Uploading virus now. Propagation time across the Kaminoan network, 12 minutes. Once it hits the primary genetic database, every clone produced after this moment will have the modified chip, but it won't affect clones already deployed across the galaxy. For them, we need—" Alarms shrieked across the facility. Red emergency lighting bathed the corridors. "Contact!" Martinez's voice crackled over the command channel. "We've got company. ARC troopers, commando units, and some kind of advanced security droids. They're hitting our position hard." Chief's tactical display, updated with hostile markers converging on the ODST perimeter. How long until the upload completes? 10 minutes, Roland reported, but I'm detecting another problem. Someone's trying to purge the database remotely. They know we're here and they're attempting to destroy the genetic records before we can modify them. Can you stop it? I can slow it, but Chief, whoever's on the other end of this hack is good. Really good. They're using Sith encryption protocols I've never seen before. Palpatine, Kelly said. He knows. Then we hold, Chief decided. Martinez, fall back to defensive position Alpha. We'll reinforce once the upload completes. Blue Team, secure this room. Nothing gets to Roland's connection. Chief, Nalase said urgently, if the database is destroyed, decades of genetic research are lost. Every clone's medical records, their entire genetic lineage. You must protect it. That's the plan. The door exploded inward. Not from breach charges, but from a lightsaber cutting through durasteel in a perfect circle. Through the molten opening stepped a figure in dark armor that made Chief's threat assessment spike to maximum. Not a clone, not a droid, something else. The figure wore black armor that absorbed light, a respirator mask that hissed with mechanical breathing, and carried a lightsaber that burned with crimson malevolence. When he spoke, his voice was distorted by the mask into something inhuman. I am the Inquisitor, the figure stated. By order of Lord Sidious, this facility is to be sterilized. All witnesses terminated, all evidence destroyed. Fred raised his assault rifle. You'll have to go through us. I was hoping you'd say that. The Inquisitor ignited a second lightsaber. Lord Sidious is very interested in testing the limits of Spartan durability. He moved with force-enhanced speed that exceeded even Jedi Knight capabilities. His twin blades became a crimson blur aimed at Fred's center mass. But Fred wasn't alone. Kelly intercepted with her energy sword, the Covenant blade clashing against lightsaber in a shower of sparks that lit the lab in strobing violence. Chief fired 3-round bursts, forcing the Inquisitor to deflect while Linda targeted from elevation, her sniper rifle tracking weak points in the dark armor. The Inquisitor spun, lightsabers moving in defensive patterns that intercepted kinetic rounds with precision that spoke to intense training. You fight well, the Inquisitor acknowledged, but you cannot stop what's coming. The database will burn. The clones will serve, and the Jedi will fall. 8 minutes, Roland reported, his tone strained. Chief, this counterhack is getting more aggressive. They're not just trying to delete the database anymore. They're trying to corrupt it, turn every future clone into a biological weapon. Can you stop it? Not while maintaining the upload. I need more processing power. The Inquisitor's force push slammed into Chief like a speeder collision, throwing him backward through a transparasteel window. He fell 3 stories before his thruster pack arrested momentum, landing in a lower corridor where a full company of clone commandos waited with weapons raised. Freeze! The lead commando ordered. Identify yourself! Chief's shields had absorbed most of the impact, but the fall had separated him from Blue Team. His motion tracker showed them engaged with the Inquisitor above, while his position was surrounded by 50 of the Republic's elite clone soldiers. Through his external speakers, Chief addressed them directly. I'm Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, United Nations Space Command. I'm here to save you from what Palpatine's planning. The Chancellor? The commando's voice carried confusion. What are you talking about? The inhibitor chips in your heads. Order 66, it's a sleeper protocol. 1 command and you become assassins, programmed to kill Jedi. We're removing it right now. That's insane, another commando said. The chips are for medical purposes. We'd know if... You wouldn't, Chief interrupted. That's the point. Roland, can you demonstrate? Risky, the AI warned. But yes, targeting the commando squad leader's chip now. Activating Order 66 protocol in isolated test mode. The lead commando's body went rigid. His weapon swung toward a Kaminoan scientist with mechanical precision. His voice, when he spoke, wasn't his own. It was flat, emotionless, programmed. Order 66 confirmed. Execute Jedi, execute witnesses, comply. Then Roland deactivated the test, and the commando gasped, his weapon dropping as horror flooded his expression. What was that? I couldn't control. I was going to kill. That's what Palpatine has waiting for every clone in the galaxy, Chief said. We're stopping it. Help us or stand aside, but don't interfere. The commando looked at his brothers, then back at Chief. What do you need? 6 minutes to upload completion. Hold this corridor. Don't let anyone reach the database access point. You heard the Spartan, the commando barked. Defensive positions, no one gets through. Chief rocketed back upward on his thruster pack, crashing through the broken window into the lab where Blue Team was still engaged with the Inquisitor. The Dark Warrior had pushed them back, his force abilities and lightsaber skill proving formidable even against Spartans. But formidable wasn't invincible. Linda's sniper round caught the Inquisitor's respirator at the exact moment Kelly struck from his blind side. The mask cracked. The Inquisitor staggered, and Fred's Spartan strength delivered a punch that shattered the Dark Warrior's chest plate. The Inquisitor fell, his lightsabers clattering across the floor. Behind his broken mask, he was young, barely 20. Another victim of Palpatine's manipulation, trained from childhood to serve the Sith. 5 minutes, Roland reported. Chief, the counterhack just intensified. I think Palpatine realized brute force isn't working and he's trying something different. The entire facility shook, not from combat, from something far worse. Seismic charges? Nalase gasped. Orbital bombardment. He's going to destroy the entire city. Chief's HUD showed multiple contacts entering high orbit. Separatist ships, frigates, and destroyers positioning for planetary assault. Palpatine wasn't just trying to stop the upload digitally. He was going to kill everyone on Kamino to protect his secret. All teams, emergency extraction, Chief commanded. Roland, how long? 3 minutes. Chief, if those ships fire, the database servers won't survive. The upload will fail. Martinez's voice crackled with urgency. Chief, we've got civilian Kaminoans in the blast radius. Thousands of them. We can't just abandon. We're not abandoning anyone, Chief stated, but we need air support, now. High above Kamino, the silent cartographer broke stealth, its Mac cannon cycling to full power. For a shot it was never designed to make. But Prowler crews were trained to improvise. The magnetic accelerator launched a tungsten slug at relativistic velocity. It struck the lead Separatist frigate before their sensors even registered the threat. The ship exploded in a fireball that lit Kamino's storm clouds like a second sun. 2 minutes, Roland counted down. Chief made a decision that would haunt him. Blue Team, Fire Team Osiris, extract the Kaminoans. ODSTs, hold the database room. Whatever happens, that upload completes. Chief, Fred said carefully, if those ships fire before we can stop them, then the ODSTs die completing the mission. That's the job. The silence on the command channel spoke volumes. Every ODST knew what Chief had just ordered. They were the expendable piece, the sacrifice to ensure millions of clones kept their free will. Martinez's voice carried grim acceptance. Understood, Chief. Hell jumpers knew what we signed up for. We'll hold. 1 minute, Spartans moved with superhuman speed. evacuating Kaminoans toward blast shelters, while the silent cartographer engaged 2 more separatist vessels. But there were still 3 frigates in bombardment position, and they were charging weapons. 30 seconds. The ODSTs in the database room locked their armor, bracing for impact they knew they wouldn't survive. 23 men and women who'd drop into hell itself if ordered, about to make their last drop. 15 seconds, Chief reached the blast shelter with the last group of Kaminoans. Through the bunker's reinforced windows, he could see the separatist frigates begin their firing sequence. 10 seconds. And then space tore open with the distinctive rupture of slipspace emergence. Not the controlled tunnel of hyperspace, but the violent dimensional rift of UNSC technology. Through that rift came a sight that made even Chief feel relief. UNSC Infinity, all 5,694 meters of her. 4 MAC cannons already tracking targets. 5 seconds, Roland counted. Upload at 98%. Infinity's MAC cannons fired. 4 relativistic slugs crossed the space between ship and targets in heartbeats. 3 separatist frigates became expanding debris fields. The 4th managed to fire 1 seismic charge before dying. The charge fell toward Tipoca City with terminal velocity. Upload complete, Roland announced triumphantly. Every clone produced from this moment forward has the modified chip. Order 66 is compromised. Captain Lasky's voice boomed across all UNSC channels. Point defense, intercept that charge. Rampart guns, dozens of them, created a wall of 50mm fire that intercepted the seismic charge 2,000 meters above Tipoca City. The explosion was massive but atmospheric. The shockwave shattered windows and knocked people down, but the city survived. The ODSTs in the database room picked themselves up, battered but alive. Martinez's laugh echoed over comms, slightly hysterical with relief. Hell jumpers don't die. We just regroup in hell. Somebody tell Lasky his timing is impeccable. Database secured, Roland confirmed. Genetic samples extracted. Chip programming data preserved, and every future clone is free from Palpatine's control. Mission accomplished, Chief. Chief helped a young Kaminoan scientist to her feet, the gesture strangely gentle from the armored giant. How many clones are already deployed across the galaxy? Approximately 3 million, Nalase replied, her voice shaken but steady. If your upload only affects future production, then 3 million clones still have active Order 66 chips, Chief finished. We've bought time, but we haven't won yet. Chief, Lasky's voice cut in, we need immediate extraction. Separatist reinforcements are inbound, and something's wrong. These ships aren't acting like separatist tactics. They're too coordinated, too focused. Palpatine's controlling them directly, Chief realized. He knows what we just did. He's throwing everything at Kamino to prevent us from leaving with the evidence. Then let's not keep him waiting. All teams, fall back to extraction point. Infinity will provide cover. As Spartans, ODSTs, and rescued Kaminoans raced toward Pelican dropships, the storm above Kamino lit with weapons fire. Separatist and UNSC vessels clashed in orbital combat that the cloning world had never witnessed before. Mac rounds destroyed capital ships. Longsword fighters engaged vulture droids. And through it all, Infinity's massive bulk served as shield and sword. Chief was last aboard the final Pelican, his motion tracker clear of hostiles. All teams extracted, mission complete. But as the dropship climbed toward Infinity's hangar bay, Roland's voice carried a warning that killed any celebration. Chief, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the galaxy, simultaneous activations on multiple worlds. Whatever Palpatine's backup plan is, he just triggered it. The Infinity's bridge was controlled chaos. Holographic displays showed Camino's orbital space clearing of Separatist debris, while long-range sensors painted a galactic map that turned crimson with threat markers faster than tactical officers could track. Contacts emerging across 17 star systems, Lieutenant Commander Bradley reported, his voice tight with disbelief. Not Separatist, not Republic, new signatures, large-scale deployments. Sir, these readings don't match any known droid configurations. Captain Lasky stood at the command console, his expression carved from ice. Roland, analysis. The AI's avatar flickered with processing strain. Analyzing now. Energy signatures are wrong. These aren't standard battle droids. They're drawing power at rates that exceed B-2 super battle droids by an order of magnitude. Tactical programming is adaptive, not preset, and they're manufacturing more of themselves. Captain, these things are self-replicating. Show me. The main display shifted to footage from a Republic cruiser over Christophsis. What emerged from hidden facility deep underground made even hardened naval officers flinch. The droids stood 3 meters tall, humanoid but wrong. Their armor was blackened durasteel, reinforced with cortosis, the rare mineral that could short out lightsabers. 4 arms, each wielding weapons, integrated into their chassis. Their optical sensors glowed with sickly yellow light, and when they moved, it was with predatory intelligence that standard battle droids never possessed. Dear God, Commander Palmer breathed. Those are Palpatine's backup plan? One of the droids turned toward the recording clone trooper. Its vocabulator spoke in a voice that carried far too much awareness. Obsolete organic detected. Termination protocol engaged. The clone fired. Blaster bolts struck cortosis armor and deflected harmlessly. The droid's integrated weapons, plasma cannons far more powerful than standard blasters, vaporized the clone in a single shot. Then it moved to the next target with mechanical efficiency. They're killing clones, Anakin's voice cut across the bridge. The Jedi had arrived with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, having witnessed the deployment on multiple worlds through the Force. Palpatine's new army is exterminating his old one. Every clone that survived the chip deactivation is now a target. How many of these things are there? Lasky demanded. Roland's calculations finished. Conservative estimate based on power draws and facility sizes, 200,000 already active. Production facilities suggest capability to manufacture 5,000 per hour across multiple factory worlds. If we don't shut down production in the next 12 hours, we're looking at over 1 million of these things. 1 million droids that can adapt tactics, self-replicate, and are specifically designed to kill both clones and Jedi. Obi-Wan stated grimly. Palpatine built an army to replace everyone. Republic, Separatist, Jedi, all obsolete in his new order. Where's the production center? Chief asked, arriving on the bridge, with blue teams still in full combat gear from Camino. Deep Core Facility, Roland highlighted the hidden station. The one I identified earlier. It's not just a research station, it's the primary manufacturing hub. Every other factory is slave to its control network. We take it out, we cripple production long enough to hunt down the active units. How fortified is it? Extremely. Shields designed to withstand sustained capital ship bombardment. Point defense that would shred any conventional assault force. And it's positioned in a gravity well that makes hyperspace approach treacherous. Mac rounds don't care about shields, Palmer observed. We've proven that. The facility has predictive targeting AI, Roland countered. It's designed to track and intercept relativistic projectiles. We could land hits, but not before it shoots down most of our slugs. We'd need to overwhelm its defenses first. Chief studied the tactical display with 4 decades of assault planning experience. Combined arms. Infinity provides fire support. Frigates draw point defense fire. Long swords suppress targeting arrays. Then Spartans board and destroy from inside. That's a suicide mission, Yularin protested. Getting through those defenses would require— Drop pods, Chief interrupted. ODST insertion from high orbit. We come in hot during the Mac barrage. Use the chaos as cover. Martinez's voice crackled over comms from the Helljumper Bay. Chief, we just survived one drop we shouldn't have. You want us to do it again? Affirmative. This time with Spartans providing heavy assault once we breach. Outstanding. Helljumpers love a challenge. Lasky considered the plan with a commander's calculus. Risk versus reward. Potential casualties versus strategic necessity. Then he looked at the displays showing clone troopers dying by the thousands as Palpatine's new army swept across Republic worlds. Do it, Lasky ordered. All hands to battle stations. Prep the frigates for combat deployment. Launch all longsword squadrons and get me a firing solution on that facility. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Bradley said carefully, once we commit to this assault, we're all in on stopping Palpatine. No going back to neutrality, no diplomatic options. We crossed that line when we saved Camino, Lasky replied. Now we finish what we started. Helm, set course for the deep core. Maximum burn. The Infinity surged forward, her engines pushing the massive vessel to speeds that made Republic Star Destroyers look sluggish. Behind her, 5 Paris-class frigates maintained formation. UNSC Forward unto Dawn, in amber-clad, Grafton, Savannah, and Commonwealth. Each carried its own Mackey cannon. Together they represented firepower that could level continents. In the Spartan deployment bay, Chief addressed assembled Spartans and ODSTs with the brutal honesty they deserved. This assault has a projected 70% casualty rate for first wave. The facility's defenses are designed by someone who understands modern warfare. We're going to lose people. None of the assembled warriors flinched. They'd known the odds before volunteering. Our job is simple, Chief continued. Survive the drop, breach the facility, locate the AI core controlling production, destroy it, extract if possible, complete the mission if extraction isn't. Rules of engagement, asked Commander Locke from Osiris. Those droids aren't sentient, they're weapons. Destroy on sight. But if we encounter organic personnel, scientists, technicians, anyone not actively hostile, we take them alive. They're victims of Palpatine's manipulation, not willing participants. Fred checked his assault rifle with practiced efficiency. These Cortosis armored droids can short out energy shields on contact. Our Mjolnir shields won't help in close quarters. Then we don't let them get close, Linda replied, loading armor-piercing rounds that could punch through starship hulls. Long-range engagement, concentrated fire, exploit joints and optical sensors. They adapt, Kelly reminded them. Roland said they learn. What works once might not work twice. So we adapt faster, Chief stated simply. That's what Spartans do. An alert chimed across the bay. Lasky's voice followed all assault teams. We're approaching the deep core facility. Enemy contacts multiplying. This is going to be hot from the moment we arrive. Good hunting. The Infinity dropped out of slipspace directly into hell. The deep core facility hung in space like a metal tumor, bristling with weapons and surrounded by a fleet of automated defense platforms. The moment Infinity appeared, every gun swiveled toward the newcomer with targeting precision that spoke to advanced AI control. Shields to maximum, Lasky commanded. All batteries return fire. Frigates spread pattern Delta 7, longswords, suppress those point defense clusters. The space battle erupted with violence that dwarfed most Clone Wars engagements. The facility's plasma cannons hammered Infinity's shields with sustained fire that would have destroyed Republic cruisers in seconds. UNSC shields held, but the power drain was massive. "Shields at 70% and falling," Bradley reported. "We can't sustain this bombardment for long." "We don't need long," Lasky replied. "MAC cannons target the facility's shield generators. Fire!" 4 relativistic slugs launched from Infinity's primary weapons. The facility's predictive AI tracked them, and point defense turrets fired interceptor rounds in precisely calculated patterns. 3 of the 4 MAC slugs were destroyed mid-flight by intercepts that detonated with enough force to create temporary miniature stars. The 4th got through. The tungsten slug struck the facility's primary shield generator at 4% light speed. The impact released kinetic energy equivalent to a small nuclear weapon. The shield generator, rated to withstand capital ship bombardment, simply ceased to exist. A section of the facility's shields collapsed. "Breach confirmed," Roland announced. "Drop window opening in 5 seconds." In the drop bay, 70 ODST pods launched simultaneously, followed by 8 Spartan insertion craft. They fell toward the facility through a hurricane of point defense fire that turned space into a light show of death. Chief watched his motion tracker as pod after pod disappeared from the display, ODSTs dying before they even reached the target. Heroes whose names he'd never learn, sacrificing themselves so the mission could succeed. 20 pods lost, Roland reported clinically, 50 intact, adjusting entry vectors to maximize survival probability. Chief's pod shuddered as a point defense rounds detonated close enough to rattle his Mjolnir armor. Through the pod's small viewport, he saw UNSC Grafton take a direct hit from a massive plasma cannon. The frigate's reactor went critical. The explosion consumed the ship and 3 nearby ODST pods. "Grafton is down," Bradley's voice carried shock. 700 crew lost. "Sir, we can't sustain these losses." "Hold the line," Lasky commanded, his voice iron despite the horror. "Those Spartans need time. All remaining frigates concentrate fire on those plasma cannons." Chief's pod struck the facility's hull with bone-jarring impact. The shaped charges blew the hatch, and he rolled out into a corridor, where 3 of Palpatine's new droids were already turning toward him with weapons charging. Chief fired first. 3-round burst to the lead droid's optical sensors. The rounds struck cortosis armor and ricocheted, but the kinetic impact damaged the sensors enough to disrupt targeting. The droid fired blind, its plasma cannon scorching the bulkhead behind Chief. Kelly emerged from her pod in a blur of motion, her energy sword carving through the second droid's arm joints where the cortosis plating was thinnest. The limb fell, still clutching its weapon. Linda's sniper round punched through the third droid's neck joint, severing the connection between processor and body. 3 droids down in 5 seconds, but Chief's motion tracker showed dozens more converging on their position. "All teams sound off," Chief commanded. "Blue team intact," Fred confirmed. "Osiris operational," Locke reported. "We're 3 corridors east of your position." "ODST Team 1 is down," Martinez's voice was strained. "Team 2 holding. Team 3 is combat ineffective. Chief, these things are tearing through us." "Regroup on my position," Chief ordered. "We go in together or not at all." They fought through corridors filled with droids that learned with every encounter. Tactics that worked once were countered the second time. The droids coordinated with hive mind precision, creating kill zones and flanking maneuvers that would have impressed Covenant tactical AI. But they'd never fought Spartans before. Linda positioned on elevated catwalks, her sniper rifle finding weaknesses in cortosis armor that the droids didn't know existed. Kelly used speed and surprise, striking from unexpected angles before the droids could adapt. Fred employed heavy weapons, a captured plasma cannon wielded with Spartan strength to suppress entire corridors, and Chief coordinated them all with the tactical genius that had kept him alive through 4 decades. Facility core is 300 meters ahead. Roland guided them through the facility's network. But Chief, I'm detecting something else. There's someone here. Organic, force-sensitive, powerful. The Inquisitor from Camino? Ahsoka asked over the comm. She'd insisted on joining the assault, her connection to the Force providing warning of threats Roland's sensors couldn't detect. Negative, Roland replied. This signature is different, older, more refined. They breached the final door to find a chamber dominated by a massive AI core, the brain controlling every production facility across the galaxy, and standing before it, lightsaber ignited with crimson fury, was Count Dooku. Master Chief, the Sith Lord greeted with aristocratic calm despite the chaos. I wondered when you'd arrive. Lord Sidious predicted you'd target this facility. He asked me to delay you. Chief raised his assault rifle. Blue team fanned out, weapons ready. Behind them, 30 surviving ODSTs took firing positions. You can't win, Dooku, Chief stated. We're destroying that AI core. You can't stop us all. Can't I? Dooku smiled, and it was the expression of a man who held cards his opponent didn't know existed. Your soldiers, Master Chief, magnificent ones, but you don't understand the Force. You don't understand power. He raised his hands, and Force lightning erupted across the chamber with intensity that made the lights flicker. ODSTs screamed as electricity found gaps in their armor. Even Spartans staggered as their shields drained under the onslaught. Chief's HUD showed shield strength dropping, 90%, 70, 50. The lightning was more powerful than anything they'd encountered, more focused, designed to kill. Is this the best humanity's champions can offer? Dooku's voice carried contempt. Machines and augmentation, you're nothing compared to the dark side's. Ahsoka's lightsaber intercepted the lightning, her blades grounding the electrical energy before it could kill. You talk too much, Dooku. The Sith Lord's expression shifted to surprise, then calculation. Padawan Tano, how unexpected. Does Master Skywalker know you're here? He knows I can handle myself. Can you? Dooku attacked with Makashi precision. Form 2 lightsaber combat, the dueling style. His blade moved with economy that wasted no motion, each strike designed for maximum lethality with minimum effort. Ahsoka met him with Ataru, Form 4, the acrobatic style. She flipped, twisted, and struck from angles that should have been impossible. But Dooku was a master who'd trained Qui-Gon Jinn. He'd fought Yoda himself. A Padawan, however talented, couldn't match him. Dooku's blade found an opening. Ahsoka's left leg was seared by a glancing strike that made her cry out and stumble. Chief didn't hesitate. His assault rifle spoke with controlled bursts that forced Dooku to deflect instead of finishing Ahsoka. The Sith Lord snarled and redirected a burst back at Chief. With force-enhanced precision, the round struck Mjolnir armor and actually penetrated, something that rarely happened. Chief's shields dropped to 0. Red warnings flashed across his HUD, but Spartans didn't stop for injuries. Fred, Kelly, Linda, destroy that AI core, Chief commanded. I'll handle Dooku. Chief, you can't, Fred started. That's an order. Blue team moved to comply while Chief advanced on a Sith Lord with empty assault rifle and Spartan determination. Dooku's expression showed genuine confusion. You're wounded, outmatched. Why continue? Because that's what Spartans do, Chief replied, and threw a plasma grenade. Dooku deflected it with the Force, but the momentary distraction let Chief close distance. His armored fist struck with Spartan-enhanced strength. Dooku blocked with a Force barrier, but the kinetic impact still drove him backward. Impressive, Dooku admitted, but ultimately futile. He unleashed force push with power that sent Chief crashing through a bulkhead. Through the hole, Chief could see Blue Team placing charges on the AI core. Almost done. Just needed a few more seconds. Dooku raised his lightsaber for a killing strike, and Martinez, bleeding from a dozen wounds, emptied his M6 Magnum into the Sith Lord's back. The rounds didn't penetrate Dooku's force-enhanced defenses, but they disrupted his concentration enough. Ahsoka, despite her injury, tackled Dooku from behind, her training saber delivering an electrical charge directly to his spine. The Sith Lord convulsed and fell. Not dead. Sith Lords didn't die that easily, but incapacitated. "Charges set," Fred announced. "Detonation in 30 seconds. All teams, evacuate now." They ran, wounded ODSTs supported by Spartans. Ahsoka limping but mobile. Chief's armor sparking from damage but still functional. Behind them, Dooku stirred, rising despite injuries that would have killed normal humans. "You cannot stop what's coming," Dooku called after them. "Lord Sidious has planned for every contingency. Even if you destroy this facility, he'll..." The AI core exploded. The facility's main reactor went critical, and Count Dooku's final words were lost in the cataclysm. The extraction was chaos incarnate. Chief's HUD showed 14 red biosigns, ODSTs who'd never make it to the Pelicans. Martinez was one of them, his chest torn open by droid plasma fire during the covering retreat. The Helljumper sergeant gripped Chief's arm with fading strength. Tell them we held the line," Martinez gasped. Blood flecked his lips. "You did more than that," Chief replied. "You stopped a Sith Lord. You're a hero, Martinez." "Just another Tuesday, sir." The biosign flatlined. Chief closed Martinez's eyes with uncharacteristic gentleness, then lifted the sergeant's body. Spartans didn't leave anyone behind, even when the facility was collapsing around them, even when every second mattered. "Chief, we have to go," Kelly urged, her motion tracker showing structural failures cascading through the station. "This whole place is coming apart." "Then we go fast," Chief stated, securing Martinez's body to his armor's magnetic lock. "Fred, Linda, grab who you can. No one gets left for Palpatine's droids." Blue Team moved through the dying facility like armored angels of death, retrieving fallen ODSTs while Pelican dropships strafed approach corridors with autocannon fire. The advanced droids pursued with relentless determination, their adaptive programming pushing them to prevent any escape. Commander Locke from Osiris held the rearguard, his assault rifle creating a wall of suppressive fire. "Chief, we've got a problem. Droids are sealing blast doors between us and the hangar. We're being cut off." "Alternate routes?" "Negative. Roland showing structural failures across the entire section. Primary route or nothing." Chief switched comm channels. "Infinity, we need fire support. Target the blast doors at my marker. Danger close." Captain Lasky's voice carried instant understanding. "Archer missiles inbound. Clear the impact zone in 10 seconds." Spartans moved. ODSTs who could still run did. Those who couldn't were carried by armored giants who refused to leave them. The Archer missiles, ship-to-ship weapons never designed for precision strikes, punched through the facility's hull and detonated with force that vaporized the blast doors and 36 pursuing droids. The explosion nearly killed the retreating UNSC forces too. Chief's shields took the brunt, dropping to 15%, but the path was clear. They reached the hangar where Pelicans waited, with engines hot and pilots screaming for them to board. Ahsoka collapsed into a troop seat, her lek still smoking from Dooku's glancing strike. An ODST medic immediately began treating the burn with Bacta supplies that seemed primitive compared to UNSC medical technology. but were all they had. "Everyone accounted for?" Chief demanded. "Negative," Locke replied grimly. "Lost 37 ODSTs. 6 made it to alternate extraction. Rest are KIA. Fire Team Majestic is completely gone. Took a reactor breach trying to secure the secondary objective." Chief's jaw tightened behind his helmet. 54 dead. 54 warriors who'd followed him into hell and didn't come back. The weight was familiar but never lighter. The Pelicans launched through a hangar bay, dissolving into molten slag. Behind them, the deep core facility began its death throes. Reactors overloading, structural supports failing, the massive station folding in on itself like a dying star. "Facility destruction confirmed," Roland reported. "AI core destroyed, production network severed. Approximately 80% of active droids lost command synchronization. The remaining 20% are operating on independent protocols. Still deadly, but uncoordinated." "How many dead?" Lasky asked quietly. "Across the galaxy? Conservative estimate, 15,000 clones killed before we severed the network. 23,000 civilians caught in crossfire. Unknown Jedi casualties." The Pelicans' troop bay fell silent. 15,000, 23,000. Numbers that represented lives, families, futures erased because Palpatine couldn't accept losing his slave army. "Sir," Lieutenant Commander Bradley's voice cut through the grim accounting. "We're receiving priority transmissions from Coruscant. Jedi Temple is under attack. Master Windu is requesting immediate assistance." "By what forces?" Lasky demanded. "Unknown. Reports are confused. Something about the Chancellor and—" "Wait." Bradley's voice shifted from professional to horrified. "Sir, they're saying Palpatine revealed himself. He's fighting the Jedi Council right now in his office." Chief was on his feet instantly. "How long until we can reach Coruscant?" "At maximum slip space burn? 4 hours." "Too long," Ahsoka said, her young voice carrying absolute certainty. "Palpatine won't wait. If he's revealed himself, he's already won, or he's about to. We need to—" The transmission from Coruscant shifted to video. What appeared on the Pelican's display made even Spartans stop. The Senate building's executive tower was collapsing, not from external bombardment, from internal destruction so massive it defied conventional weapons. Through the smoke and flames, a figure in dark robes stood at the epicenter, arms raised, force lightning arcing across the Coruscant skyline like vengeful serpents. Palpatine, no longer hiding, no longer pretending. "The Republic is dead." His voice boomed across every broadcast channel, amplified by technology and dark side power. "The Jedi's treason has been revealed. Their attempt to overthrow the rightful government ends now. Citizens of the galaxy witness the cost of their betrayal." The camera, someone's personal recorder, shaking with terror, showed Jedi bodies. Masters who'd served the Republic for decades, dead on the Senate floor. Mace Windu among them, his body broken and burned beyond recognition. "No," Ahsoka whispered. "No, that's not. Master Windu was the strongest of us. He couldn't have—" "He could if Palpatine was that powerful," Chief stated grimly. "The Sith Lord stopped hiding his strength, fought without restraint. Windu never had a chance." Anakin's voice exploded across the comm channel, raw with rage and anguish. "Where is he? Where's Palpatine? Skywalker, stand down." Obi-Wan's voice followed, strained but controlled. "Don't engage alone. That's exactly what he wants. He killed Mace. He killed the Council. I'm going to—" "You're going to die," Obi-Wan interrupted with brutal honesty. "Anakin, please, we regroup. We plan. We don't throw our lives away on revenge." The channel went silent. Then Anakin's voice returned, quieter but somehow more dangerous. "I'm not throwing my life away, Master. I'm finishing this. With or without you." Chief recognized that tone, the voice of someone who'd made a decision and wouldn't be dissuaded. He'd heard it from soldiers about to do something heroic and stupid. Usually it ended with funerals. "Lasky, change of plans," Chief stated. "Drop us on Coruscant, now." "Chief, we're 4 hours out. There are Pelicans with slipspace-capable engines in the hangar. Experimental units from the Pillar of Autumn refit. They can make short-range jumps. Get us to Coruscant in 30 minutes. Those drives are untested. The nav calculations alone. Roland can handle it. Sir, with respect, we don't have time for safe. Anakin's about to confront Palpatine alone. If he falls to the dark side or dies trying to kill Sidious, we lose one of the few people in this galaxy who can actually challenge a Sith Lord." Lasky was silent for 3 seconds, an eternity in combat time. Then, "Do it. Roland, calculate jump coordinates. Chief, you get 1 Pelican and whatever team you can fit. The rest of us come conventionally. Don't get killed doing something stupid." "No promises, sir." 20 minutes later, Chief stood in a hangar bay with Blue Team, Fire Team Osiris, Ahsoka, and Commander Cody. The clone commander had insisted on joining despite his injuries from Camino. "The Chancellor Palpatine, whatever he is," Cody said, checking his DC-15 with hands that didn't quite shake. "He used us, made us weapons against the Jedi. I need to be there when he answers for that." Chief nodded understanding. Some debts could only be paid in person. The experimental Pelican looked exactly like standard models externally. Internally, Forerunner-derived slipspace technology had been crammed into spaces never designed for dimensional drives. The result was something that probably violated every safety regulation the UNSC had. 30-second jumps, Roland explained, his avatar appearing on the Pelican's display. "Any longer and the drive will overload. Any shorter and we can't clear real space before re-entry. I've calculated 17 jumps to reach Coruscant. Each jump has a 3.7% chance of catastrophic failure." "So total odds of making it are," Kelly began calculating. "Please don't," Linda interrupted. "I'd rather not." "No." "Approximately 52%, Roland finished anyway. But that's better than 0%, which is what we have if we wait 4 hours. The Pelican launched. The slipspace drive activated with a sound like reality screaming, and suddenly they weren't in space anymore. They were between spaces, in the dimensional corridor where physics became optional, and navigation required faith as much as mathematics. 30 seconds of existence where thought moved faster than time. Then violent re-entry into real space. The Pelican shuddered hard enough to crack bulkheads. "Jump 1 complete," Roland announced. "Drive integrity at 94%. Recalculating for jump 2. "This is insane," Locke muttered, gripping his restraints as the slipspace drive activated again. "Welcome to working with Spartans," Cody replied with grim humor that years of war had taught him. Jump after jump, each one degrading the drive further, each one bringing them closer to Coruscant, and each one carrying Chief closer to a confrontation he wasn't sure he could survive. Because fighting Grievous had been one thing. The cyborg general was dangerous but ultimately physical. Palpatine was something else. A Sith Lord with decades of dark side mastery who'd just killed some of the galaxy's most powerful Jedi. "Chief," Fred said quietly on a private channel, "you have a plan for fighting Palpatine." "Same plan as always. Hit him before he can use the Force. Maintain pressure. Don't give him time to think." That worked on Grievous because he was arrogant. Palpatine survived in hiding for decades. He's not arrogant. He's patient, careful. Then we make him panic, force him to react instead of plan. Spartans are good at creating chaos. The 15th jump deposited them in Coruscant's orbital space. The planet's surface glowed with fires, not from bombardment, but from ground-level combat. Clone troopers were fighting each other, those with active chips targeting those who'd been freed. Civil war within the army designed to prevent civil war. "Drive at 30%, Roland warned. 2 more jumps, and it's completely spent. After that, we're on conventional engines. Then make them count." The 16th jump brought them into Coruscant's upper atmosphere. The 17th deposited them directly above the Senate District, a maneuver that would have vaporized the Pelican if Roland's calculations had been off by even microseconds. The drive died with a sound like a dying animal. Smoke filled the troop bay as overheated systems failed. But they were here, Coruscant, the Senate building visible through the cockpit windows, and rising from the ruins of the executive tower, a column of dark side energy that made Ahsoka gasp in pain. "He's there," she said, her connection to the Force sensing what technology couldn't. "Palpatine, and someone else. Someone fighting him. I think it's Anakin." Obi-Wan's voice crackled across the comm, strained and desperate. "Anakin is dueling Palpatine. I'm 3 minutes out. Chief, if you're anywhere near Coruscant, we need help now." The Pelican dove toward the Senate building on failing engines. Chief checked his weapons. MA-5D assault rifle with armor-piercing rounds, M6 Magnum, combat knife, and 2 plasma grenades. Everything he'd need to fight a Sith Lord. Everything except certainty he'd survive. "Blue Team," Chief addressed his family one last time before the drop. "If I don't make it, we're going with you," Kelly interrupted. "That's not negotiable." "Blue Team doesn't split," Fred confirmed. "Always together," Linda finished. Chief felt something he rarely allowed himself to feel. Pride, not in himself, in them. The warriors who'd stood beside him for 4 decades through every impossible fight. "Then let's go save a Jedi," Chief stated. The Pelican's bay doors opened. 8 Spartans, 1 Padawan, and 1 clone commander dropped toward a building where the dark side had been unleashed without restraint, where the fate of the galaxy was being decided by 2 Force users locked in combat that would reshape everything. Through the smoke and flames, Chief could see them. Anakin Skywalker, his blue lightsaber moving in forms taught by Jedi masters. And Palpatine, no, Darth Sidious, his crimson blade striking with Sith fury accumulated over decades. They were perfectly matched, for now. But Sidious was smiling, and that terrified Chief more than anything, because Sith Lords didn't smile unless they'd already won. The Spartans landed with ground-shaking impacts. Boots hit marble floors cracked by force power, weapons raised toward the Dark Lord of the Sith, who turned to acknowledge their arrival with eyes that burned yellow with corruption. "Ah," Sidious said, his smile widening. "The Spartans. I've been expecting you." He raised both hands. Lightning erupted with force that made the Camino Inquisitor's attack look like static electricity, and John 1:17 learned exactly how powerful a Sith Lord could be when he stopped pretending to be human. The Force lightning struck like the wrath of vengeful gods. Chief's shields collapsed instantly. The electrical discharge bypassed Mjolnir's standard defenses, designed for plasma and kinetic threats, not mystical energy channeled through pure hatred. Sparks erupted across his armor. His HUD flickered, died, rebooted with half its systems offline. But Spartans were built to endure. Chief raised his assault rifle and fired through the pain. 3-round bursts, center mass. The same tactics that had worked on every enemy for 40 years. Sidious didn't deflect the rounds with his lightsaber. He caught them with the Force. The bullets froze mid-air, suspended in crackling energy fields, then reversed direction at twice their original velocity. Kelly tackled Chief sideways. The redirected round struck where he'd been standing, punching through reinforced marble like it was tissue paper. "Standard tactics won't work," Ahsoka shouted, her own lightsabers ignited and trembling as she faced the monster who'd orchestrated the galaxy's suffering. "He's not like other Force users, he's—" "Everything you feared," Sidious finished, his voice carrying mockery that cut deeper than any blade. "I am the dark side incarnate, child. Your masters are dead. Your order is broken. And you—" He gestured almost casually. Ahsoka flew backward, slammed into a pillar with force that cracked Duracrete. She slumped, stunned but alive. Anakin roared and attacked with Form V aggression. Gem. So the power style. His strikes carried fury that made the air itself burn. Sidious met each blow with Form 7, Kuyo, the unpredictable chaos style. Their lightsabers clashed in showers of sparks that lit the ruined chamber like a dying star. "Yes," Sidious laughed, genuinely delighted. "Feel your anger, Skywalker. Let it empower you. Strike me down with all your hatred." "I'm not falling for that," Anakin snarled, but his strikes grew wilder, less controlled, the dark side whispering promises in his ear. Blue teams spread out with tactical precision born from 4 decades fighting together. Fred circled left with a scavenged plasma cannon. Linda found elevation on a half-collapsed balcony, her sniper rifle tracking Sidious through scope optics that could see through smoke and chaos. Kelly moved to flank, her energy sword ignited and ready, and Chief did what Spartans did best. He adapted. "Roland," Chief sub-vocalized through his helmet's emergency backup comms. "Analysis, weaknesses." "Working on it," the AI replied, his processing power pushing limits as he analyzed Sidious through every available sensor. "Chief, this is bad. His force abilities are generating electromagnetic interference that's scrambling our targeting systems. His movements aren't following predictable patterns. He's using precognition to see our attacks before we make them, and his lightning attacks are specifically calibrated to overload Mjolnir's shields. He's studied our technology." "Countermeasures? Don't get hit. Maintain unpredictability. Force him to defend instead of attack. And Chief, those plasma grenades you're carrying, their detonation might disrupt his force concentration." "Might." Chief pulled both grenades. "Blue team, plasma bombardment on my mark. Create chaos. Make him react." "Affirmative," came 3 simultaneous replies. Chief threw the first grenade. Not at Sidious, at the ceiling above him. The plasma charge detonated with blue-white fury, bringing down tons of marble and durasteel. Sidious gestured. The debris stopped mid-fall, suspended by the force. He turned his yellow eyes toward Chief with something almost like respect. "Clever. Using environmental hazards instead of direct assault. You've fought Force users before." "Once or twice," Chief replied and threw the second grenade. This one he threw at the floor. The plasma ate through marble, exposing the sub-level below. The structural integrity failed. The entire section of flooring collapsed. Sidious fell. For half a second, even a Sith Lord was subject to gravity. Linda's sniper rifle cracked. The 14.5mm armor-piercing round covered 800 meters in under a second. It should have taken Sidious's head off. Should have. The Sith Lord twisted mid-fall, his lightsaber intercepting the round with precision that defied physics. The bullet deflected into a pillar, but the kinetic impact threw off Sidious's landing. He hit the lower floor awkwardly, not injured but disrupted. "Now," Chief commanded. Blue team opened fire with everything. Fred's plasma cannon sent superheated bolts that turned the air to ionized hell. Kelly launched from her position with thruster-assisted speed, her energy sword aimed at Sidious's exposed back. Linda fired 3 more rounds in rapid succession. Different angles, different timings, forcing Sidious to defend against multiple vectors simultaneously. And Anakin, seeing the opening the Spartans created, struck with Xi'an, the dedicated Form V variant designed to overwhelm single opponents. For 3 seconds, Darth Sidious was on the defensive. His lightsaber moved in patterns too fast for human eyes to track. Energy rounds deflected, kinetic rounds intercepted. Kelly's energy sword met his blade in a clash that sent both warriors skidding backward. And Anakin's assault forced Sidious to actually retreat, stepping back to create space. "Impressive," Sidious acknowledged, his voice carrying genuine approval beneath the mockery. "You fight well together, Jedi and whatever you are, but you're learning a lesson the galaxy learned long ago." He raised both hands. This time, the lightning didn't target individuals. It arced across the entire chamber in a web of electrical death that ignored cover, bypassed defenses, and sought flesh with malevolent intelligence. Cody screamed as his armor conducted the charge directly into his body. ODSTs from the Pelican who'd tried to flank collapsed, their nervous systems overloaded. Even Spartans staggered as their shields failed and backup systems fought to protect organic components. Chief felt his muscles seize. His augmented physiology fought the paralysis, Spartan enhancements designed to survive anything. But even enhanced bodies had limits. He couldn't move, couldn't raise his weapon, could only watch as Sidious approached with leisurely confidence. "The dark side is limitless," Sidious explained, like a teacher with particularly slow students. "You fight with technology, with training, with enhanced biology, but I fight with the Force itself, the fundamental energy of the universe. You cannot win. You can only die with varying degrees of pain." He reached toward Chief, Force lightning concentrating into a single finger, pointed at the Spartan's helmet. "I'll make yours educational. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who oppose me." "Master Chief!" Ahsoka's voice desperate and young and terrified. The lightning began to concentrate. Chief's helmet system screamed warnings. The visor started to melt. In seconds, his brain would cook inside his own armor. Then something impossible happened. The lightning stopped. Not because Sidious chose to stop, but because someone grabbed the Sith Lord's wrist and physically prevented him from pointing. Chief's vision cleared enough to see who. A clone trooper, not Cody, someone else. The armor was standard white, but the grip on Sidious's wrist was anything but standard. "No," the clone said. Just that, one word, but it carried weight. Sidious's expression shifted from confidence to confusion to rage. "How? Your chip should have activated. You should be killing Jedi, not protecting—" "My chip is gone," the clone interrupted. "The UNSC freed us, all of us who survived Camino. You don't own us anymore." Behind him, more clones appeared, dozens, then hundreds, streaming into the chamber from every entrance. Clone troopers who should have been fighting each other were united. Brothers who'd been slaves recognizing their chains had been broken. Commander Cody, still smoking from the lightning, pulled himself upright. "The 501st is here, the 212th, the Coruscant Guard. Every clone who knows what you tried to make us do." "This changes nothing," Sidious snarled, but for the first time, something like concern flickered in his yellow eyes. "You're obsolete. My new army is offline." Roland's voice boomed through the chamber's speakers. "We destroyed your production facility, severed your command network. Your backup plan failed, Palpatine. You're alone." "I am never alone," Sidious screamed, and unleashed Force power that threw the nearest clones backward like toys. "I am the Senate. I am the Republic. I am the galaxy's destiny." Anakin moved, not with rage, not with fear, but with the cold clarity of someone who'd seen enough. His blue lightsaber struck Sidious's red blade with a clash that made the air itself crack. This time, Anakin wasn't fighting with anger. He was fighting with purpose. Every form, every technique, everything the Jedi had taught him, refined through years of war, channeled into pure, focused assault. Sidious met him. The Dark Lord's skill was undeniable. Decades of Sith training, battles against Jedi masters, pure lethal experience. But Anakin Skywalker was the chosen one, and sometimes prophecies meant something. Their duel carved destruction through the chamber. Lightsabers cut through pillars. Force pushes shattered walls. Neither gave ground, neither showed weakness, until Anakin saw his opening. Sidious overextended on a strike meant to decapitate, just slightly, just enough. Anakin's blade came up in a Soresu defensive counter, the move Obi-Wan had drilled into him thousands of times. The blue lightsaber severed Sidious's sword hand at the wrist. The Sith Lord's scream was inhuman, pure rage and pain and disbelief that he, the master manipulator who'd orchestrated galactic domination, could be beaten by a Jedi he'd spent years trying to corrupt. He fell to his knees. His severed hand still clutched the lightsaber hilt, twitching on the marble floor. Anakin stood over him, his own blade raised for the killing strike. "It's over." "Is it?" Sidious gasped, blood streaming from the cauterized stump. But he was smiling, still smiling. "You think you've won? You think severing one hand stops the dark side?" "I think," Anakin replied, his voice steady despite everything, "that you're beaten. Surrender or die." "There is no surrender for the Sith." Sidious's remaining hand came up, and Force lightning erupted with power born from pure desperation. Anakin's lightsaber intercepted it. The energy grounded through his mechanical hand, the arm that was more machine than flesh now. The lightning couldn't hurt what wasn't organic. "That's the difference between us," Anakin said quietly. "I've lost parts of myself to this war, but I didn't lose my humanity." He struck. Sidious tried to roll away, to escape. Chief's magnum barked once. The .50 caliber round struck Sidious's remaining hand, shattered bones, destroyed the limb's ability to channel Force lightning. The Sith Lord collapsed, truly helpless for the first time in decades. "No," Sidious screamed. "You cannot. I am the Sith. I am eternal. I am..." "Under arrest," Mace Windu's voice said from the chamber entrance. The Jedi Master stood there, supported by Obi-Wan and Kit Fisto, burned, battered, barely alive, but alive. "The hologram," Ahsoka breathed. "The one showing you dead." "Sith deception," Windu rasped. "Palpatine thought he'd killed us. Didn't confirm. Arrogance." Sidious looked around the chamber, at the Jedi who'd survived, at the clones who'd been freed, at the Spartans who'd fought something they barely understood, at Anakin standing over him with a lightsaber that could end him with one strike. "This isn't over," Sidious hissed. "I have contingencies, plans within plans. Weapons you haven't discovered. Resources you cannot imagine. You've won nothing." "Then we'll hunt them down," Chief stated simply, "one by one, until there's nothing left of your empire but dust." "You cannot! I am the culmination of 1,000 years of Sith planning. I am..." Anakin's lightsaber moved, not to kill, but to sever Sidious's connection to the Force through a precise strike to nerve clusters the Jedi had studied for centuries. A technique used only on the most dangerous Force users, a crippling that left them powerless. Sidious's scream was worse than physical pain. It was the sound of someone whose entire identity, Sith Lord, Dark Side Master, galactic manipulator, had been stripped away. He collapsed, breathing but broken, a mortal man who'd wielded godlike power and lost it all. "Take him!" Windu ordered. Clones moved forward with specialized restraints designed for Force users. Chief lowered his magnum, his system still sparking from the lightning damage. Around him, blue teams slowly recovered. Linda had taken a bad hit. Her armor's left side was completely black from electrical burns. Kelly's shields were shot. Fred's plasma cannon had melted into slag, but they were alive, all of them, against a Sith Lord who'd killed Jedi Masters with ease. Chief, Ahsoka approached, her young face aged by what she'd witnessed. Thank you. Without the Spartans, without the UNSC, we'd have lost everything. We didn't do it alone, Chief replied, looking at the clone troopers who'd turned on their former master. They saved us as much as we saved them. Cody approached, his armor scorched but his bearing strong. Orders, sir. I'm not your commander, Chief said. You freed us from slavery. That makes you more than a commander. That makes you... Cody struggled for the word. That makes you brothers. The weight of that statement settled over Chief like a mantle he hadn't asked for but would carry anyway. 3 million clones freed from Palpatine's control. Soldiers who'd follow the people who gave them back their free will. Obi-Wan stepped forward, his face grave despite the victory. This isn't over. Palpatine said he has contingencies, backup plans. We need to... The building shook, not from combat, from something else. Something massive moving beneath the Senate district. Roland, Chief said urgently. What was that? The AI's response carried dread. Chief, I'm detecting massive power surges from beneath Coruscant. Multiple locations there. Oh no. Oh no, what? Palpatine wasn't lying about contingencies. He has ancient Sith weapons buried under the city, devices that predate the Republic, and someone just activated them. The floor cracked. Something vast and terrible began to rise from depths that hadn't been disturbed in millennia, and in his restraints, Darth Sidious, powerless, defeated, broken, began to laugh. Did you think, the former Sith Lord wheezed, that I would prepare for every contingency except my own capture? Fools. What rises now will consume this world, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Chief's motion tracker went insane. Readings that made no sense. Power signatures that exceeded anything they'd encountered. Something was waking up beneath Coruscant. Something old. Something angry. And they had minutes, maybe less, before it reached the surface. The Senate district split open like a wound. Ancient stone cracked, modern duracrete shattered, and from depths that predated the Republic itself, something emerged that made even Spartans pause. It was a machine. But calling it that was like calling a star a campfire. 20 stories tall, built from metal that absorbed light rather than reflected it. Its surface crawled with Sith runes that pulsed with crimson energy, and its form was vaguely humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, but wrong in ways that hurt to look at directly. This was technology designed by beings who understood both engineering and dark side sorcery, who'd built weapons not just to kill, but to inflict suffering on a cosmic scale. What the hell is that? Kelly breathed, her voice carrying rare shock. A Leviathan, Mace Windu said, horror and recognition mixing in his tone. Ancient Sith war machines. We thought they were myths, legends from the old Republic era. They shouldn't exist anymore. Well, somebody forgot to tell it that, Fred replied, as the Leviathan took its first step and crushed an entire city block under a foot the size of a frigate. Roland's sensors screamed with data. Analyzing now, Chief. This thing is generating power equivalent to a capital ship reactor. Its armor is... I don't even know what this material is. It's not durasteel, not cortosis, something older, and it's armed with weapons that, oh no. The Leviathan's arms raised, Massive cannons built into its palms began charging with energy that made the air itself scream. "Move," Chief commanded. Blue teams scattered as crimson beams lanced from the Leviathan's weapons. Not blaster fire, not plasma, pure dark-side energy weaponized through Sith alchemy into cutting beams that carved through modern buildings like they were made of paper. The beams swept across Coruscant's skyline. Towers that had stood for millennia collapsed. Platforms housing millions of civilians disintegrated. Each second of fire created casualties measured in thousands. "We need heavy ordnance," Cody shouted over the destruction. "Republic gunships, artillery, something that can punch through." "It won't work," Ahsoka interrupted, her force senses feeling what technology couldn't measure. "That machine is protected by the dark side. Conventional weapons will just make it angry." "Then we use unconventional ones," Chief stated. He switched to Fleet Command. "Infinity, do you have firing solution on the Leviathan?" Captain Lasky's voice carried grim determination. "Affirmative. Mac cannons locked. But Chief, we're in high orbit, firing on a ground target in a populated city, the collateral damage alone." "I know. Do it anyway." "Sir, millions will die if that thing keeps moving. Thousands will die from our Mac strike. It's a bad choice and a worse choice. We take the worst choice to prevent the worst one." The silence on the comm lasted 2 heartbeats. Then, "Understood. Firing." High above Coruscant, Infinity's 4 Mackey cannons spoke with the voice of physics-made weapon. 4 tungsten slugs, each weighing 3,000 tons, accelerated to 4% of light speed. The relativistic projectiles crossed the distance from high orbit to surface in seconds. The Leviathan's sensors, ancient but still functional, detected the incoming threat. It raised one massive arm in a gesture that should have been futile against kinetic weapons traveling at those velocities. Shouldn't have worked. But dark-side sorcery didn't care about physics. A barrier of crimson energy materialized above the Leviathan. The Mac rounds struck the barrier at relativistic speeds. The kinetic energy transfer was apocalyptic, equivalent to multiple nuclear detonations. The barrier held for microseconds, then shattered. But microseconds were enough. The disrupted mass rounds, their trajectories altered by the barrier interaction, struck Coruscant's surface in locations offset from the Leviathan itself. 4 impacts, 4 explosions that leveled entire districts. Chief watched through his rebuilt HUD as casualty estimates climbed. 8,000, 12,000, 15,000 dead from the Mac strikes alone. "It's not enough," Linda reported from her sniper position. "The Leviathan's barely damaged, some armor scorching. Nothing critical." "Then we go to Plan B," Chief decided. "What's Plan B?" Kelly asked. "We board it. Find its power source. Destroy it from inside." "Chief," Obi-Wan interjected, having heard the plan through their shared comms. "That machine is filled with dark side energy. Any living being who enters will be corrupted, driven mad, or simply killed by the concentrated hatred inside. The Jedi archives specifically warn." "Spartans aren't living beings," Chief interrupted. "Not in the way you mean. We're augmented, enhanced, more machine than human in some ways. Maybe that's enough." "Maybe isn't a plan." "It's the only plan we have. Blue team, prep for boarding action. We go in through the Mac damage points, structural weaknesses we can exploit." Ahsoka stepped forward. "I'm going with you." "Negative. You felt what that thing radiates. You'd be compromised in minutes. Which is why you need me. Someone who can sense dark side traps before you trigger them. Someone who understands Sith technology. You're walking into a temple of hatred, Chief. Without Force guidance, you'll die in there." Chief studied the young Togruta. She was terrified. He could see it in her posture despite her brave words. But she was also determined. That combination had saved lives before. Stay close, follow orders. If you feel the dark side taking hold, you evacuate immediately. Agreed. The Leviathan took another step, crushing Coruscant's lower levels. Its weapons recharged, preparing for another devastating sweep. They had minutes before it reached the Jedi Temple, Palpatine's final revenge against the Order that had opposed him for millennia. Pelican's too damaged for this run, the pilot reported. But we've got ODST drop pods designed to breach capital ship hulls. Load them, Chief ordered. Blue Team and Padawan Tano. Everyone else maintains perimeter. Keep Republic forces away from the Leviathan. We don't need friendly fire while we're inside. 5 drop pods launched from a nearby landing platform. They arced toward the Leviathan with the same reckless trajectory that had made ODSTs legendary. The machine's point defense systems activated, ancient but deadly. Crimson beams lanced out, incinerating 2 pods before they could reach their target. 3 pods remained. 3 impacts against armor that had withstood MAC cannons. The shaped charges detonated, breaching the Leviathan's hull and forcing entry into its nightmare interior. Chief emerged first, his assault rifle raised and motion tracker painting hostile signatures everywhere. The inside of the Leviathan was worse than the outside. Corridors that twisted in ways that defied Euclidean geometry, walls that seemed to breathe, and everywhere, whispers. Failure. You are failure. Should have died with reach. Should have died saving Earth. Living on borrowed time, Spartan. Chief? Fred's voice carried concern. You're reading elevated stress markers. What's wrong? Nothing, Chief replied, forcing the whispers back through Spartan mental discipline. Standard dark side psychological warfare. Ignore it. But Ahsoka gasped, her mantrals trembling as the concentrated hatred washed over her Force senses. It's so much worse than I thought. Chief, this machine was built by Sith who were angry at the universe itself. Every rivet, every wire, all of it forged from pure malevolence. Can you guide us to the power core? I think so. The dark side is strongest toward the center. Follow the hatred. They moved deeper into the Leviathan, fighting through corridors filled with automated defenses that were half machine, half dark ritual. Turrets that fired bolts of crystallized malice. Barriers that screamed when touched. And constructs, vaguely humanoid shapes made from shadow and metal, that attacked with mindless fury. Linda's sniper rifle punched through constructs with armor-piercing rounds. Kelly's energy sword carved through barriers that conventional weapons couldn't touch. Fred's salvaged plasma cannon suppressed turret emplacements, while Chief pushed forward with relentless determination. But the deeper they went, the worse it got. Kelly stopped suddenly, her helmet turning toward empty air. Do you hear that? It sounds like screaming. Millions of voices, all afraid. There's nothing there, Fred reported, his sensors showing only corridor. I know what I hear. It's the dark side, Ahsoka explained, struggling with her own visions. It's showing us suffering, real suffering it's witnessed over millennia. Kelly, whatever you're hearing, it's not now, it's echoes, ignore them. I can't, they're screaming my name, Chief grabbed Kelly's shoulder with his armored hand. Spartan, focus. Those voices aren't real. Your brothers and sisters in Blue Team are real. Trust what you can touch. Kelly's trembling stopped. Affirmative. I'm good. But she wasn't. None of them were. The Leviathan's interior was eating at their sanity degree by degree. Power core ahead, Ahsoka announced, pointing toward a massive door covered in Sith runes. Through there, but Chief, there's something else. Something waiting for us. What? I don't know. The dark side is too concentrated to sense clearly, but it's intelligent. It's been expecting us. Chief checked his weapons. Half a magazine in his assault rifle, 3 shots left in his magnum, 1 plasma grenade. Not much for whatever lay beyond that door. Blue team, standard breach protocol. Fred, charge the door. Kelly and Linda, suppressing fire on whatever's inside. Ahsoka, stay behind me. We go on 3. 1. The Leviathan's entire frame shuddered, another step crushing Coruscant's infrastructure. 2. Fred placed breaching charges on the door with precision born from 1,000 similar entries. 3. The door exploded inward. Blue team poured through the breach with weapons hot and ready for anything. What they found was worse than anything. The power core chamber was vast, a cathedral of hatred carved from impossible angles and decorated with the preserved corpses of beings who'd been sacrificed to fuel the machine. Thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands, all frozen in expressions of terminal agony. And in the center, standing before a pulsing crystalline heart that radiated dark side power like a malevolent star, stood a figure Chief recognized from Republic intelligence briefings, Count Dooku, not dead from the facility explosion, not even particularly injured, but wrong, changed. His eyes burned with yellow fire. His presence in the Force, even Chief could feel it now, was magnified beyond what it had been. The Leviathan's power core had transformed him into something more than Sith. Master Chief, Dooku greeted, his voice carrying harmonics that made Ahsoka whimper. I knew you would come. Sidious knew. That's why he arranged for me to survive the facility's destruction, why he positioned me here, to stop you from destroying what he spent decades preparing. You're protecting Palpatine's backup plan, Chief asked, buying time for Blue Team to position. After we exposed him, after everyone knows what he did? I'm protecting the galaxy's future, Dooku corrected. Sidious may have fallen, but his vision was correct. The Republic is corrupt beyond saving. The Jedi are failures who let darkness grow unchecked. Only complete destruction can create the conditions for true order. That's the dark side talking. You know it's wrong. Wrong? Dooku laughed, and the sound made the corpses around the chamber seem to move. I was once like you, Chief. I fought for principles, believed in institutions. Then I watched those institutions fail again and again. I learned that sometimes the only way to fix what's broken is to burn it all and rebuild from ashes. He ignited his lightsaber, but this time the blade wasn't red. It was black, void dark, a weapon that didn't just cut but erased. This is a darksaber, Dooku explained, forged in hatred absolute, enhanced by this Leviathan's power core. It can cut through anything, even your Spartan armor, even reality itself if I will it hard enough. 1 blade against 5 warriors, Fred observed. Poor odds. Are they? Dooku moved. Not with human speed, not even with force-enhanced speed. With the speed of something that had transcended biology entirely. His darksaber struck Kelly's energy sword. Both weapons, one Covenant technology, one ancient Sith artifact, shrieked as they connected. Kelly's sword shattered, the fragments dissolved into nothing, erased by the darksaber's void properties. Kelly stumbled backward, shocked. Her weapon had cut through Covenant shields. Spartan armor, reinforced bulkheads. Nothing had ever broken it before. You see? Dooku pressed his advantage, his blade moving in forms that shouldn't exist. This is power beyond your comprehension. Technology, force, and ancient Sith alchemy combined. You cannot stop me. You can only die with varying degrees of pain. Linda's sniper rifle cracked. The round should have taken Dooku's head, should have ended the fight. The darksaber moved faster than the bullet. The void blade intersected the round's trajectory. The bullet ceased to exist, not deflected, not stopped, but erased from reality as if it had never been fired. Impressive weapon, Dooku acknowledged, but ultimately futile against one who has transcended physical limitations. He raised his free hand. Force lightning erupted, not the weakened version Sidious had used after his maiming, but something worse. Black lightning that didn't just electrocute but consumed. It struck Fred's armor and began eating through Mjolnir's shields and plating like acid. Fred screamed, a sound Chief had heard maybe twice in 40 years. Spartans didn't scream, but this wasn't pain, this was annihilation. Chief fired his plasma grenade, not at Dooku, at the power core itself. The grenade arced past the Sith Lord and detonated against the crystalline heart. The explosion did nothing to the crystal, but it disrupted the energy flow feeding Dooku's transformation. Just for a second. Just enough. Ahsoka struck. Her training sabers might not cut like real lightsabers, but they could still deliver electrical charges. Both blades stabbed into Dooku's back, dumping their full voltage directly into his nervous system. Dooku convulsed. The black lightning stopped. Fred collapsed, his armor smoking and partially melted. "Clever girl," Dooku gasped, spinning to face Ahsoka. But not clever enough. He kicked her. Force-enhanced strength behind the blow. Ahsoka flew across the chamber and struck a wall hard enough to crack it. She slid down, unconscious or dead. Chief couldn't tell from his position. "Chief?" Linda's voice was tight. "Fred's down, Ahsoka's down, Kelly's weapon's gone, we're losing." Then we changed tactics. How much C-12 explosive do we have left? Enough to level this chamber. But Chief, we're inside the blast radius, we'd die too. Acceptable losses, plant the charges on the power core. I'll keep Dooku busy. That's suicide, that's the mission. Chief charged Dooku with his combat knife. The last weapon he had that might work when everything else had failed. Just a Spartan and a blade against a being who'd transcended human limitations through dark side power. The darksaber moved to intercept. Chief didn't block, didn't dodge, just accepted that the blade would hit him and used the momentum to get inside Dooku's guard. The darksaber struck Chief's chestplate. The void blade began erasing Mjolnir's armor molecule by molecule. But Spartan armor was thick, and Chief only needed seconds. His combat knife punched through the gap in Dooku's robes where armor didn't quite cover. The blade found flesh, drew blood. First blood Chief had landed on a Force user in direct combat. Dooku gasped, surprise more than pain. You actually struck me." "Spartans don't quit," Chief replied, even as his armor continued disintegrating. "We just keep going until the mission's done." Behind Dooku, Linda and Kelly were planting C-12 charges on the power core with trembling hands. 30 seconds until detonation, maybe less. Dooku realized what was happening. "No!" He threw Chief aside with force push that sent the Spartan crashing through preserved corpses. Chief's armor integrity dropped to 15%. His shields were completely gone. Most of his systems were offline, but the charges were planted. Dooku ran toward the power core, his darksaber raised to cut the explosives. He was fast, enhanced beyond human limits. But Fred, barely conscious and with armor melted to his flesh, grabbed Dooku's ankle. The Sith Lord looked down in disbelief. "You're dying, you can't—" "Spartans never quit," Fred gasped. His grip tightened with the last of his Spartan strength. The C-12 detonated, the power core shattered. Millennia-old dark-side energy released in a catastrophic cascade. The Leviathan's entire structure screamed as its heart was destroyed. Chief grabbed Ahsoka's unconscious body and ran. Kelly grabbed Fred. Linda provided covering fire against nothing. There was nothing left to shoot at, except collapsing architecture and dark-side energy eating reality. They reached their drop pods as the chamber collapsed behind them. The pods launched with emergency protocols, blasting clear of the Leviathan as its internal structure failed. Below them, the ancient war machine took one final step, then another, then stopped. Its crimson runes faded, its weapons powered down. The massive construct stood frozen like a monument to defeated hatred. Then it fell. 20 stories of ancient Sith engineering toppled like a cut tree. It crashed into Coruscant's surface with an impact that registered as an earthquake across 3 continents. The Leviathan was dead, but so was Count Dooku and Fred. Fred's biosigns were critical. The Infinity's medical bay became a cathedral of desperation. Fred 104 lay on a surgical table designed for Spartan physiology, surrounded by medical equipment that screamed alarms as his enhanced body fought systems failures cascading from Dooku's attack. Dr. Catherine Halsey, the woman who'd created the Spartan 2 program decades ago, worked with hands that refused to tremble despite knowing she was losing one of her children. Neural activity dropping, a medical technician reported. Respiratory system failing. He's going into shock. Chief stood against the wall, still in his battered armor, watching through a window as the woman who'd turned him into a weapon tried to save his brother. Kelly and Linda stood beside him, silent witnesses to something Spartans weren't supposed to face. They were supposed to be invincible. His augmentations are keeping him alive, Halsey said, her voice clinically detached in the way she used when emotions threatened to overwhelm. But that dark side energy didn't just damage tissue, it corrupted it at the cellular level. His own enhanced biology is attacking itself. "Can you stop it?" Commander Palmer asked, her Spartan Fu armor still scorched from the Senate battle. "I'm trying, but this isn't conventional trauma. This is mystical damage done to a body designed through science. I don't have protocols for this. I don't even have theories." Through the window, Chief watched Fred's vitals continue to deteriorate. His oldest friend, his brother who'd stood beside him since they were 6 years old, stolen from parents they barely remembered and turned into soldiers before they understood what that meant. 40 years. They'd survived 40 years of impossible odds together. "Let me try," Ahsoka's voice said quietly from the doorway. She was bandaged, one arm in a sling, but mobile enough to walk despite the concussion from Dooku's attack. "Padawan Tano," Halsey replied without looking away from her instruments. "I appreciate the offer, but unless you have medical training, I have the Force. Dark side corruption is something Jedi healers have treated for thousands of years. I can't heal the physical damage, but I might be able to purge the dark side energy that's killing him." Halsey hesitated. Medical science versus mystical healing. Everything she'd built her career on said the Force was superstition, but everything she'd witnessed on Coruscant said superstition had real power here. "Do it," Chief stated, not asking, ordering. Halsey looked at him sharply, then nodded. "Quickly, he doesn't have much time." Ahsoka entered the surgical bay, her young face set with determination that made her look older than her years. She placed her hands on Fred's chest, closed her eyes, and reached into the Force with everything she had. The monitors went crazy. Fred's body convulsed. Alarms screamed. "What's happening?" Halsey demanded. "She's pulling the corruption out," Chief realized, watching through his rebuilt HUD as thermal imaging showed energy leaving Fred's body and entering Ahsoka's. "She's taking it into herself." "That's insane. If it was killing him, it'll kill her slower. She has Force protection, time to filter it. Fred doesn't." Ahsoka's montrals began to darken with corruption spreading through her system. Her hands trembled, but she didn't stop, didn't pull away, just kept drawing the dark side poison out of Fred and into herself, where her Jedi training could contain it. For 5 minutes that felt like hours, she worked. Then she collapsed, gasping, her skin ashen. Fred's vitals stabilized, not healthy, not even close, but stable. "He'll live," Halsey confirmed, checking readings that finally made medical sense. "The corruption is gone. His augmentations can handle the physical damage. He'll need months of recovery, but he'll live." Ahsoka smiled weakly from the floor. "Glad I could help. Now, if someone could help me not die from dark side poisoning, that'd be great." Medical teams rushed to her, administering treatments that seemed inadequate for mystical corruption. But Ahsoka was young, strong, and she'd faced the dark side before. This time she'd done it willingly to save a Spartan she barely knew. Chief approached her bedside. "Why? Why what? You risked your life. Fred's not Jedi. He's not even from this galaxy. Why save him?" Ahsoka looked at Chief with eyes that had seen too much too young. Because he was willing to die to stop Dooku. Grabbed him even while burning. That's what Jedi do. Sacrifice for others. Seemed like Fred understood that without needing the Force. Figured I should return the favor. Kelly moved to Ahsoka's other side. "Thank you. He's family. You saved our brother." "Then I guess that makes us family too," Ahsoka replied. "The weird cross-galaxy kind. But still." The moment was interrupted by Captain Lasky's voice over the ship-wide comm. "All senior personnel to the bridge. We have a situation developing." Chief shared a look with Kelly and Linda. There was always another situation. On the bridge, tactical displays showed Coruscant in chaos. The Leviathan's fall had devastated multiple districts, but the larger crisis was political. "The Senate is demanding answers," Commander Palmer reported. "Half of them want to thank the UNSC for stopping Palpatine. The other half want to arrest us for war crimes, specifically the Max strike that killed 15,000 civilians." "We saved millions," Lasky countered. "They know, but politics doesn't care about numbers. Some senators are calling us foreign invaders who murdered Republic citizens. They're demanding reparations, tribunal hearings, possible criminal prosecution." "While we're dealing with that," Lieutenant Commander Bradley added, "we've got reports of separatist fleets mobilizing across the Outer Rim. With Palpatine exposed as controlling both sides, the separatist leadership is fracturing. Some want peace talks. Others want independence now that they know the Republic was manipulated. It's chaos. Roland's avatar appeared with data that made everything worse. And we still have the clone situation. 3 million clones with active Order 66 chips scattered across the galaxy. We modified future production on Camino, but that doesn't help the ones already deployed. They're walking time bombs if someone figures out the activation phrase." "Can we remove the chips remotely?" Lasky asked. "No. Each chip requires individual surgical extraction or on-site reprogramming. We'd need to process millions of clones through medical facilities we don't have, using technology that barely exists in this galaxy." Obi-Wan Kenobi entered the bridge, looking decades older than he had days ago. "The Jedi Council is convening an emergency session. We need to discuss what happens now that Palpatine's manipulation is exposed. The Republic, the Separatists, the war itself. Everything we thought we knew was a lie." "What about Palpatine himself?" Chief asked. "Where is he?" "In the temple, powerless, crippled, and under maximum security. But Chief..." Obi-Wan's expression carried concern. "He keeps talking, saying he has contingencies we haven't found, resources we don't know about, friends in places we haven't searched. He's lying," Palmer stated, "trying to maintain psychological control, even after losing physical power." "Perhaps," Mace Windu's voice added, as the Jedi Master entered, still healing but mobile. "But Sith Lords don't lie when they brag. They enjoy revealing how clever they've been." If Palpatine says he has backup plans, then we hunt them down, Chief finished. Systematically, eliminate every contingency until there's nothing left. That could take years, Obi-Wan said. Decades even. The Sith have been planning for a millennium. Then we spend years. Spartans are patient when necessary. A priority alert flashed across the tactical display. Commander Cody's face appeared, transmitting from somewhere on Coruscant's surface. UNSC Infinity, we have a situation. The clone barracks in the military district. Someone's broadcasting the Order 66 activation phrase. Clones with active chips are turning on Jedi across the city. How? Mace Windu demanded. Only Palpatine knew the phrase. He's contained. It's not coming from Palpatine. Roland analyzed the transmission source. It's coming from, oh no, it's Maz Amedda, the Vice-Chancellor. He's broadcasting on Palpatine's authority, using emergency protocols. Take him out, Lasky ordered. Jam the transmission. Stop those clones before... Too late, Cody's voice carried desperation. Jedi are under attack across Coruscant. Temple Guard, clone escorts, even younglings' protectors are turning. Sir, we need help now. Chief was already moving. Blue team, he stopped. Blue team was 2 Spartans and 1 in critical condition. Not enough for a citywide response. All available Spartans, Chief corrected. ODSTs, Marines, everyone who can fight. We deploy to protect Jedi across Coruscant. Rules of engagement. Stun rounds on clones if possible. They're not responsible for their actions. Lethal force only on confirmed threats who can't be disabled non-lethally. Chief, Obi-Wan said urgently, the Jedi Temple. If Maz Amedda is activating Order 66, the Temple Guard, hundreds of clones protecting younglings and archives, they'll all turn simultaneously. It'll be a massacre. Anakin's voice crackled over the comm from somewhere on Coruscant. I'm at the temple now. The guard just activated. I'm holding them off, but there are too many. I can't protect everyone. We're on our way, Chief stated. Hold the line. Pelicans launched from Infinity's hangar bays like angry hornets. Spartans, ODSTs, and Marines piled into transports designed for combat insertions. They hit Coruscant's atmosphere at speeds that made the ships glow from friction. Chief stood in the lead Pelican with Kelly, Linda, and Commander Locke from Osiris. Behind them, 30 ODSTs checked weapons loaded with stun rounds, specialized ammunition that would drop clones without killing them. This is wrong, Kelly said quietly. We freed them from Palpatine's control. Now they're slaves to programming again. We freed the ones we could reach, Chief corrected. Now we save the ones we couldn't. Different mission. Same objective. Protect the innocent. The Pelican dove toward the Jedi Temple, where blaster fire lit the night and screams echoed across ancient halls. Through the cockpit window, Chief could see clone troopers, men who'd fought beside Jedi for years, executing their former commanders with mechanical precision. This was what Palpatine had built. This betrayal, this horror. Approaching drop zone, the pilot announced. LZ is hot. Multiple hostiles. Jedi are scattered. Chief, this is going to be messy. Then we clean it up, Chief replied. Spartans deploy. They dropped into hell for the second time in 12 hours. The temple's main courtyard had become a killing ground. Clone troopers advanced in perfect formation, their DC-15 rifles cutting down Jedi who were too shocked, too betrayed, too confused to fight back effectively. Padawans tried to defend younglings. Knights attempted to protect the archives. Masters held corridors against soldiers they'd trained beside, and they were losing. Chief hit the ground with Kelly and Linda flanking. His motion tracker painted 50 clone contacts, 20 Jedi signatures, most injured or dying, and chaos everywhere. Suppressing fire, Chief commanded. Disable the clones, non-lethal. ODST stun rounds created a wall of electrical charges that dropped the nearest clone squad without killing them. The clones fell, convulsing but alive. Spartans advanced behind the covering fire, using non-lethal takedowns developed for riot control. Kelly disabled 3 clones with precision strikes to nerve clusters, hard enough to incapacitate, not hard enough to break bones. Linda switched from her sniper rifle to a Covenant plasma pistol, set to overload, shots that would stun organic targets without killing them. But there were too many clones and too few Spartans. "Chief!" Anakin's voice carried across the courtyard. The Jedi was surrounded by a dozen temple guards, their electro-staff weapons discarded for blasters, as Order 66 overrode years of training. "I can't hold them without killing them." "Then don't hold them. Fall back to the archives. We'll cover your retreat." Anakin looked at the Jedi around him. Young Padawans, injured knights, terrified younglings. Then at the clones advancing with empty eyes and programmed loyalty to a Sith Lord's final command. He made his choice. His lightsaber moved in defensive patterns only, deflecting blaster bolts into walls, not back at shooters, creating barriers with the Force to protect others, not attacking the clones themselves. Every instinct screamed to strike back, to kill the threats, to let anger fuel his power. But he'd seen where that path led. He'd fought Palpatine and won by refusing to give in to rage. He wouldn't start now. "Everyone to the archives," Anakin commanded. "Move, now!" Jedi ran. Padawans carried younglings. Knights supported injured masters. And Spartans provided covering fire that dropped clones without killing them. A balance of precision and restraint that only augmented soldiers with decades of experience could maintain. They reached the archives, massive halls filled with millennia of Jedi knowledge. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka were already there, organizing defenses with the surviving Jedi. "Seal the doors," Obi-Wan ordered. "It'll buy us minutes, maybe." "Not enough," Ahsoka countered. "There are thousands of clones on Coruscant. Even with UNSC help, we can't disable them all before some breakthrough." "Then we don't disable them," Chief stated. "We cure them. Roland, can you broadcast a countersignal? Something that deactivates the chips remotely?" "I'd need direct access to Palpatine's control network, the one that originated the Order 66 broadcast. It's somewhere in the Senate, probably Maze Ameda's office based on signal origin. Then someone needs to get there, now." "I'll go," Anakin volunteered. "Fast speeder, direct route, I can make it in 10 minutes. "Not alone you won't," Kelly stated. "Spartans move fast too. I'll ride with you, provide fire support." "And me," Cody added, having fought his way to the archives with a squad of freed clones. Maz Ameda betrayed the Republic as much as Palpatine did. He deserves to face clone justice. Obi-Wan looked worried. "Anakin, if you go alone with a Spartan and clones seeking vengeance—" "I'm not going for vengeance," Anakin interrupted. "I'm going to end this. There's a difference." He was right. Chief could see it in his bearing. The rage that had defined Anakin during the war had been tempered by facing Palpatine and choosing control over fury. He was still dangerous, maybe more dangerous now, but focused rather than wild. "Go," Chief ordered. "We'll hold here, just make it fast. We're running out of stun rounds." Anakin, Kelly, and Cody departed through a side exit, leaving Chief to organize defenses with resources that were never adequate for the task. "How long can we hold?" Obi-Wan asked quietly. Chief checked his tactical display. 50 Spartans across Coruscant, protecting Jedi who were scattered and vulnerable. 200 ODSTs providing support, against 3 million clones who could be activated at any moment. "As long as necessary," Chief replied, because that's what Spartans said when the odds were impossible and quitting wasn't an option. The temple shook as something massive struck its outer walls. Through security feeds, Chief saw what was coming. AT-TE walkers, clone heavy armor, now turned against the temple itself. Their mass driver cannons could punch through the archive's doors in minutes. "Everyone deeper into the structure," Chief commanded. "Fighting retreat. Make them work for every meter." As Jedi and Spartans fell back into the temple's depths, Chief couldn't help but feel the bitter irony. They'd stopped Palpatine, destroyed his Leviathan, exposed his conspiracy, and somehow the Sith Lord was still winning from a prison cell. The speeder bike screamed through Coruscant's traffic lanes at speeds that would have killed a normal rider. Anakin pushed it harder, weaving between civilian transports while Kelly sat behind him, her armor's magnetic locks keeping her stable at velocities that made physics negotiable. "Left!" Kelly called, her motion tracker painting hostile contacts ahead. "Clone checkpoint, 20 contacts, they'll fire on sight." "I know a shortcut," Anakin replied, banking the speeder into a vertical dive that dropped them 300 stories in seconds. The Senate District's lower levels rushed up, darker, dirtier, where Coruscant's gleaming facade gave way to industrial infrastructure. "That's not a shortcut, that's a death wish," Cody shouted from his own speeder, following with a squad of freed clones who'd refused to turn when Order 66 activated. "Same thing on Coruscant," Anakin called back, pulling up at the last possible second and threading through a maintenance tunnel that hadn't been designed for speeder traffic. They emerged into the Senate District's governmental complex, where chaos had replaced order. Clone troopers fought each other, those with active chips targeting Jedi sympathizers, those without defending their former commanders. Civilian senators fled in terror, and somewhere in the administrative tower, Mas Amedda was broadcasting the command that turned brothers into enemies. "There!" Kelly pointed toward the Vice-Chancellor's office, 300 meters up the tower. "Signal origin confirmed." Anakin parked the speeder with a crash landing that would have horrified traffic controllers. They ran for the tower entrance, where clone guards immediately raised weapons. "Halt! By order of—" Kelly moved first. Spartan speed closed the distance before the clones could fire. Non-lethal strikes, elbow to helmet, kick to knee joint, precise force that disabled without killing. 3 clones down in 2 seconds. "I'm starting to see why Chief respects you Spartans," Anakin admitted, igniting his lightsaber as more clones poured from the building. "The respect's mutual," Kelly replied, switching to her assault rifle loaded with stun rounds. "You held Palpatine. Not many beings in any galaxy can say that." They fought up the tower through waves of clones whose programming demanded they stop the intruders at any cost. Anakin deflected blaster bolts with precision that sent shots into walls rather than back at the clones themselves. Kelly and Cody provided covering fire that dropped attackers without lethal force. But every second delayed was another second. The temple defenses weakened. "Chief!" Kelly's comm crackled. "Status!" Chief's voice came back strained. "AT-TE's breached the outer walls. We're falling back to the archive's inner chambers. Estimate 15 minutes before we're overrun. Recommend you accelerate your timeline." "Working on it," Kelly confirmed, then switched to local comms. "Skywalker, we need speed over stealth." "Agreed," Anakin replied. He closed his eyes for half a second, reaching into the Force, and suddenly he knew exactly where Mas Amedda was. Top floor, executive suite, through the security door that's magnetically sealed. "I can handle magnetic seals," Kelly stated. She produced a Covenant plasma charge, technology that could melt through starship bulkheads. "Stand back." The charge adhered to the security door, and detonated with blue-white fury. The door's structural integrity failed. Kelly kicked it open with Spartan strength. Beyond lay an office decorated with the trappings of power: expensive art, luxurious furniture, windows overlooking Coruscant's glittering skyline. And at the desk, speaking into a comm unit that broadcast across military channels, sat Mas Ameda. The Shagrian vice-chancellor looked up as they entered, his expression showing annoyance rather than fear. Jedi Skywalker, how unfortunate. I'd hoped the Temple Guard would have eliminated you by now. Turn off the broadcast, Anakin demanded, his lightsaber raised but not striking. Stop Order 66 now. I think not, Maz Ameda replied calmly. Chancellor Palpatine's vision will not die simply because he's been temporarily inconvenienced. The Jedi's treason must be punished. The clones will complete their programming, and when the dust settles, I will assume executive authority over what remains. You were part of it, Cody said, his voice carrying a betrayal that cut deeper than any weapon. You knew. You helped. You activated chips in our brains that turned us into murderers. You were always murderers, Mas Ameda corrected with clinical detachment. That's what clones are for. The chips simply ensured you murdered the correct targets when commanded. Cody's hands tightened on his blaster. The weapon rose, aimed at the Vice-Chancellor's head. Give me one reason not to execute you right now. Commander, Anakin said quietly, don't. He's unarmed, defenseless. This isn't justice. It's exactly justice. He enslaved my brothers, made us weapons against Jedi we served beside for years. He deserves a trial, Anakin interrupted firmly. Due process, the thing that separates us from Palpatine, the thing that makes the Republic worth saving. Cody's finger trembled on the trigger. For a long moment, the office hung in balance between justice and vengeance. Then Cody lowered his weapon. You're right, I want to kill him. Every instinct says pull the trigger, but you're right. Kelly moved to the comm unit while Anakin kept his lightsaber trained on Maz Ameda. Roland, I'm at the broadcast source. Guide me through shutting this down. Analyzing now, the AI replied. It's protected by encryption and failsafes. If you force shutdown, it'll trigger a dead man's switch that broadcasts Order 66 on every military frequency for the next hour. You need to disable it properly. How long? 3 minutes minimum, maybe 5 if the encryption's better than expected. Kelly's HUD showed friendly casualties mounting at the temple. Every second mattered. Do it in 2, she stated, her Spartan-enhanced fingers already working the console with speed that made Mas Ameda blink in surprise. That's separatist-grade encryption, the Vice-Chancellor observed. It would take Republic slicers hours to crack. How are you? Spartan, Kelly replied simply, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces while Roland fed her decryption algorithms through her neural link. We're good at impossible things. 90 seconds. The console fought her with security protocols designed by Sith paranoia and political cunning. But Kelly had spent 40 years breaching enemy systems, bypassing Covenant security, and hacking Forerunner installations. This was complicated but not impossible. The temple's comm channel crackled with Chief's voice. Heavy casualties, ATTE walkers, are firing point blank into the archives. Structural integrity failing. Whatever you're doing, do it faster. Almost there, Kelly muttered, bypassing the final encryption layer. Roland, I'm seeing a secondary system. It's not just broadcasting Order 66, it's updating clone chip programming remotely. What is this? Roland's analysis took microseconds. It's Palpatine's final contingency. If Order 66 was exposed, Maz Ameda was supposed to upload new programming that makes the chips permanent. Surgical removal would kill the clone. They'd be enslaved forever. Cody's weapon rose again. He was going to trap my brothers permanently. The galaxy requires order, Maz Ameda said, his voice carrying the zealotry of true belief. Palpatine understood that. I understand that. You're all tools, clones, Jedi, Spartans, meant to serve purposes greater than yourselves. Your autonomy is less important than galactic stability. Found it, Kelly announced. The kill switch for the broadcast and the secondary upload. Deactivating both in 3, 2, 1. She pressed the final command sequence. The comm unit went dead. Across Coruscant, across the galaxy, the Order 66 broadcast ceased. Clone troopers with active chips collapsed as the override signal ended, their programming suspended in confused limbo. At the Jedi Temple, Chief watched through his tactical display as hostile markers changed from red to yellow, no longer actively attacking, but still dangerous and confused. Broadcast ended, Chief reported to defending Jedi. Clones are disoriented. Press the advantage. Disarm them while they're vulnerable. Obi-Wan coordinated the Jedi response with practiced efficiency. Non-lethal takedowns only. These are our soldiers. We subdue, not slaughter. Within minutes, the temple's immediate threat ended. Confused clones were disarmed by Jedi who wept while restraining brothers in arms. Younglings emerged from hiding. The Archive's ancient knowledge had survived another attempt at destruction, but the cost had been devastating. Casualty report, Obi-Wan requested quietly. Mace Windu, bloodied but standing, delivered the numbers with Jedi detachment that barely masked grief. 47 Jedi dead, 83 injured, 212 clones killed in the fighting, most by their own brothers when programming conflicted. 17 younglings traumatized. The Temple Guard is decimated. Chief's own casualties were lighter, but still painful. 3 ODSTs KIA, 7 wounded. Spartans are functional but depleted. Ammunition at 20%. We can't sustain another engagement like this. Then let's ensure there isn't another. Anakin's voice came through the comm from the Senate. We have Maz Ameda in custody. Roland's accessing his files. Apparently our vice-chancellor kept detailed records of every conspiracy, every betrayal, every Sith plot. Why would he document his own treason? Obi-Wan asked. Insurance, Roland explained, his avatar appearing on the temple's holographic displays. Maz Ameda was Palpatine's right hand, but he didn't trust his master any more than Palpatine trusted him. He kept evidence to use as leverage if the Sith Lord ever tried to eliminate him. It's comprehensive, incriminating, and provides locations of every contingency asset Palpatine deployed. New data flooded the displays, hidden weapons caches, sleeper agents in Republic government, separatist commanders who were actually Sith loyalists, financial networks that funded both sides of the war, and facilities, dozens of them, where Palpatine had positioned resources for use after his planned empire was established. This is everything, Mace Windu breathed, studying the intelligence windfall. Every piece of Palpatine's apparatus. If we move quickly, we can dismantle his entire organization before it can activate without him. Recommended approach, Captain Lasky's voice joined from Infinity's bridge. Simultaneous raids on every location. UNSC provides the muscle. Republic provides the authority. We hit them all at once before anyone realizes we have this intelligence. That would require splitting our forces across the galaxy, Obi-Wan observed. We're already depleted from the temple battle. Then we call in help, Chief stated. The clones who were freed from chip control. They have the most reason to hunt down Palpatine's infrastructure, turn his own weapon against his legacy. Commander Cody's voice carried grim satisfaction. I can have 10,000 freed clones ready for deployment in 12 hours. Brothers who know they almost became murderers. Give us targets and we'll eliminate them with extreme prejudice. The Separatists, Anakin added. Not all of them are Sith loyalists. Some genuinely wanted independence from corruption. Now that Palpatine's manipulation is exposed, we might find allies among them. Contact Count Dooku's surviving commanders, Obi-Wan suggested. Offer them the intelligence showing how Palpatine played both sides. Some might join our effort out of sheer anger at being used. The strategic planning session continued for hours. Target priorities, force allocation, diplomatic approaches to fractured separatist leadership. And through it all, one question remained unspoken but obvious. What happened to Palpatine himself? The former Sith Lord sat in a specialized cell beneath the Jedi Temple, stripped of Force power by Anakin's precise strikes to his nervous system. His hands severed stumps that had been cauterized and bandaged. He should have been helpless, defeated, broken. But when Jedi Masters came to interrogate him, Palpatine smiled. "You think you've won," he said, his voice raspy but carrying an assurance that made even Mace Windu uncomfortable. "You think exposing Mas Amedda's files gives you victory, but you're thinking too small, too limited." "Your contingencies are being dismantled," Windu replied. "Every asset you positioned, every backup plan you created, we're destroying them systematically." "Are you?" Palpatine's yellow eyes gleamed despite his powerlessness. "You're destroying what Mas Amedda knew about, what I allowed him to know. But the Sith have played galactic politics for a millennium. Do you truly believe I documented every resource for a subordinate to betray me with?" The words hung in the cell like poison. "You're bluffing," Obi-Wan said, though his tone suggested uncertainty. "Am I? Tell me, Jedi, where is the Eclipse? Where are the Inquisitorious facilities I established years ago? Where are the Sith artifacts I collected from worlds you've never heard of? Where is the research on Force manipulation that predates your order?" "You're trying to make us paranoid," Windu stated. "Keep us chasing shadows while your organization collapses." "I'm telling you the truth because the truth is more terrifying than any lie," Palpatine corrected. "I've been planning this for decades. You've been opposing me for days. The asymmetry is insurmountable." Chief entered the cell, his presence making the confined space feel smaller. "Then you'll help us find these resources, willingly or unwillingly." Palpatine's laugh was dry and brittle. "Torture, Spartan, how Republic of you. But I'm curious, what could you do to me that I haven't already endured? Pain, I channel it into power. Imprisonment, I've spent decades in patient waiting. Death, the Sith have techniques that transcend mortality." "We're not going to torture you," Chief replied. "We're going to ignore you, hunt your resources without your input, and when we find them, and we will, we'll dismantle them knowing you couldn't stop us." He turned to leave, dismissing Palpatine as irrelevant. "Wait," the former Sith Lord called out, and there was something in his voice now, genuine concern. "The UNSC. You're not from this galaxy. Why involve yourselves in conflicts you don't understand?" Chief paused at the doorway. "Because standing by while evil wins isn't in our nature. The UNSC has fought extinction wars. We know what happens when good people do nothing. We won't make that mistake here." "Noble," Palpatine acknowledged, "but ultimately futile. This galaxy has been at war for millennia. Jedi versus Sith, light versus dark, Republic versus Empire. The specific names change, but the conflict is eternal. Your intervention means nothing in the grand scheme." "Maybe," Chief conceded, "but we'll save the people we can reach. That's enough." He left Palpatine in his cell, alone with powerlessness and defeat. the former emperor of a galaxy that would never exist. A Sith Lord whose millennium-long plan had been derailed by variables from another reality. But as Chief walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that Palpatine was still playing a game they didn't fully understand. On Infinity's bridge, Captain Lasky studied the star charts showing Palpatine's hidden facilities. 27 locations, 27 targets that needed simultaneous raids to prevent any from being warned and evacuated. "We don't have the resources for this," Palmer observed. "Even with clone support and separatist defectors, we're spread too thin." "Then we prioritize," Lasky decided. Roland analyzed the facilities. Which ones represent the greatest threat? The AI's processing took seconds. 3 stand out. First, a research station in the unknown regions studying something called Sith alchemy, biological weapons enhanced through the dark side. Second, a fleet assembly yard building what Maz Ameda's files call Executor-class star dreadnoughts, capital ships that would outclass anything in the current war. Third, a facility on Exegol labeled only as the Final Order. Exegol? Obi-Wan's voice carried recognition. That's a Sith legend, a hidden world where the Sith Empire originated, if it actually exists. "It exists," Roland confirmed, "and according to encrypted files, Palpatine has been sending resources there for decades. Whatever he's building on Exegol, it's his ultimate contingency." "Then that's where we go," Chief stated. "Infinity, full Spartan deployment, and anyone willing to face the worst Palpatine has hidden." "It could be a trap," Ahsoka warned, having joined the planning session despite her injuries. "Palpatine wants us to find Exegol. He's been too eager to mention resources we haven't discovered." "Trap or not, we can't leave it active," Chief replied. "Spartans don't avoid danger. We eliminate it." The mission parameters were set. 3 strike forces, 3 targets. 72 hours to destroy the last of Palpatine's empire before it could rise from his ashes. But as preparations began, nobody noticed the small encrypted transmission leaving Coruscant's communications network, a signal that traveled through hyperspace relays toward the unknown regions, where something vast and terrible had been waiting for decades. Palpatine's final contingency wasn't a weapon or a fleet. It was a voice recorded long ago with instructions that would activate when specific conditions were met. And those conditions had just been satisfied. The unknown regions were called unknown for a reason. Hyperspace lanes ended at the galaxy's civilized edge, replaced by navigation hazards that destroyed ships, gravitational anomalies that defied physics, and stellar phenomena that shouldn't exist according to Republic astrophysics. The UNSC Infinity pushed through it all with Forerunner-derived slipspace technology that treated hyperspace hazards as minor inconveniences. Behind Infinity came a fleet that represented the galaxy's fragile new unity. 5 Republic Star Destroyers, 3 Separatist Providence-class carriers whose commanders had defected after learning about Palpatine's manipulation, and 24 smaller vessels, crewed by clones who'd been freed from their chips and wanted revenge on the Sith infrastructure that had enslaved them. Chief stood on Infinity's bridge, with Blue Team, Kelly and Linda fully operational, Fred watching from medical bay feeds with frustration at being sidelined. Around them, Jedi Masters Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu, and Anakin Skywalker studied star charts that showed nothing but empty space where Exegol should be. "Are we certain these coordinates are correct?" Mace Windu asked, his skepticism evident. "There's nothing here, no planetary bodies, no stellar activity, just void." "The coordinates match Maz Ameda's files, exactly," Roland confirmed. "But I'm detecting something strange. Space-time is folded here, like there's a dimensional pocket hidden from normal scanners." Sith cloaking technology, Obi-Wan realized. Ancient techniques that hide entire worlds from force detection and technological sensors. If Palpatine wanted to hide his ultimate contingency, this is how he'd do it. "Can we penetrate the cloak?" Captain Lasky asked. "Not with conventional sensors, but the Force." Obi-Wan closed his eyes, reaching out through mystical senses that technology couldn't replicate. "Yes, I feel it. Darkness so concentrated it's like a wound in reality. Exegol is there, hidden, waiting." Anakin joined the meditation, his connection to the Force amplifying Obi-Wan's perception. It's massive, not just a planet. There's infrastructure, facilities, and something else. Something alive, but not alive. Presence in the Force that feels wrong. "Can you guide us in?" Chief asked. "I can try, but Chief, whatever's down there, it's a trap designed specifically for Force users. The dark side presence is so strong it'll try to corrupt anyone who lands. Your Spartans might resist better than Jedi." "Then Spartans take point. Jedi provide support and Force guidance. Standard combined arms doctrine." The Infinity moved forward, guided by Jedi senses through dimensional barriers that should have been impossible to navigate. Reality flickered. Sensors screamed contradictory data. Then suddenly, they were through. Exegol hung in space like a malignant tumor. The planet's surface was perpetual storm, crimson lightning arcing between obsidian clouds, torrential acid, rain that would dissolve unprotected flesh in seconds, and electromagnetic interference that made conventional communications impossible. But through the storms, massive structures were visible. Pyramidal buildings the size of mountains, docking facilities that could service superstar destroyers, and floating above it all, partially constructed but unmistakably operational ships, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, each one dwarfing anything in the current galactic war. "What are those?" Commander Palmer breathed, staring at vessels that made Republic star destroyers look like fighters by comparison. Ziston-class star destroyers, Roland identified, accessing data from Mas Ameda's files, Palpatine's final fleet, each one equipped with axial superlaser weaponry, planet-killing cannons like the Death Star, but miniaturized for mass deployment. He was building an armada that could hold the entire galaxy hostage. "How many are operational?" Lasky demanded, analyzing 12 fully operational vessels, another 38 in various stages of completion. "And Chief, I am detecting massive power signatures from the surface facilities. They're activating. Someone down there knows we're here." "Broadcast on all frequencies," Mace Windu ordered. "Demand their surrender. This facility is in violation of—" "They're firing," Lieutenant Commander Bradley interrupted, as tactical displays painted incoming threats. The 12 operational Ziston-class destroyers opened fire with weapons designed to crack planetary crusts. Massive crimson beams lanced toward Infinity, and her escort fleet with power that made turbo laser batteries look like small arms. "Evasive action," Lasky commanded. "All ships scatter. Don't let them concentrate fire." Infinity's bulk made evasive maneuvers difficult, but her shields held against the first volley, barely. The Forerunner-derived defensive systems strained under energy discharge that would have vaporized Republic capital ships. "Shields at 60% from one salvo," Bradley reported. "Sir, we can't survive sustained bombardment from 12 of those things." "Then we don't let them fire a second time," Lasky replied. "All MAC cannons target the operational destroyers. Frigate escorts suppress their point defense. Longswords attack run on their power generators. Republic and Separatist vessels spread pattern Delta. Make yourselves difficult targets and draw fire away from Infinity." The space battle erupted with violence that exceeded anything the Clone Wars had produced. Infinity's Mac cannons fired relativistic death at vessels that had been designed to survive conventional capital ship weapons. The tungsten slugs punched through Zistan armor that should have been impenetrable, crippling destroyers with single hits. But there were 12 targets and only 4 Mac cannons. Reload time gave the Sith fleet opportunities to return fire. A Republic Star Destroyer took a direct axial superlaser hit. The vessel didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, shields up and guns firing. The next, it was a rapidly expanding cloud of vaporized metal and organic matter. "Resolute is gone," communications reported. 3,000 crew lost. Admiral Yularen was aboard. Chief felt nothing at the announcement. Couldn't afford to. Grief was for after the battle. Now was for tactics. "Roland, can you hack those destroyers? Shut them down remotely." "Trying," the AI replied, strain evident in his voice. "But their systems are isolated. Sith technology merged with automation that doesn't trust external input. I can disrupt their targeting, maybe, but not shut them down completely." "Then disrupt them. Buy us time." On Exegol's surface, visible through the orbital bombardment, something massive was rising from the largest pyramid structure. A ship that made the Zistan-class destroyers look small, wedge-shaped, kilometers long, and radiating dark-side power that registered on every Force user's senses like a scream. "The Eclipse," Obi-Wan identified, his voice carrying dread. "Palpatine's personal superstar destroyer. It's a legend. A nightmare the Jedi Order has feared for generations. If that thing reaches operational status..." "It won't," Chief interrupted. "Blue Team, Fire Team Osiris, all Spartan units, prepare for ground insertion. We're taking out the ground facilities before that ship can launch." "Chief, the storms will tear drop pods apart," Commander Locke protested. "Then we go in Pelicans with the best pilots in the UNSC. Risky, but possible. We don't have better options." Anakin stepped forward. "I'm going with you. That Eclipse is being powered by something on the surface. I can feel it through the Force. Dark side nexus, Sith ritual. If we don't stop it, that ship will be more than metal and weapons. It'll be a manifestation of hatred that can't be destroyed by conventional means." Chief studied the Jedi. Anakin had changed over the past days. Less reckless, more focused. The confrontation with Palpatine had burned away the impulsive youth and left someone harder, colder, but more reliable. "You're with Blue Team," Chief decided. "Stay close, follow orders. This isn't a lightsaber duel, it's a demolition operation." "Understood." 10 Pelicans launched from Infinity's hangar bays, carrying Spartans, ODSTs, and Jedi into Exegol's apocalyptic atmosphere. The storms battered them immediately. Crimson lightning struck hulls designed to withstand plasma fire and still managed to melt armor plating. Acid rain corroded external sensors. Electromagnetic interference made navigation nearly impossible. "Pilots, follow the Jedi's Force guidance," Chief commanded over the interference. "They can sense safe corridors through the storm." It was insane, trusting mystical senses over technology, using religious instinct instead of proven sensors. But on Exegol, conventional rules didn't apply. The pilots followed Jedi directions, weaving through lightning that could vaporize them, diving through acid clouds that should have dissolved their ships. 3 Pelicans were lost, 1 to lightning strike that cooked everyone inside, 2 to gravitational shears that ripped the aircraft apart like tissue paper. 7 Pelicans survived. 7 transports carrying 43 Spartans, 70 ODSTs, and 5 Jedi dropped toward the largest pyramid facility where the Eclipse was rising. They landed in a courtyard carved from obsidian and decorated with Sith statues that seemed to watch with malevolent awareness. The moment the Pelican doors opened, they were under attack. Not by droids, not by clones, but by Sith cultists, beings in ancient robes wielding weapons that predated the Republic, Cortosis blades, Sith swords, and powers that made even Jedi pause. "Contact front," Kelly called, her assault rifle spitting rounds that dropped cultists with efficient brutality. But the cultists didn't stay down. They rose, wounds closing through dark side alchemy, and attacked again with mindless devotion. "They're regenerating," Linda reported from Overwatch position. "Headshots aren't stopping them." "Then we vaporize them," Chief decided, switching to plasma grenades. ODST fire teams, concentrated incendiary ordnance. Burn them until there's nothing left to regenerate. The courtyard became a firestorm. Plasma grenades reduced cultists to ash. Flamethrower units purged those who tried to rise again. Spartans advanced through the carnage with mechanical efficiency, while Jedi deflected attacks that got through the suppression fire. "The eclipse is almost clear of the pyramid," Obi-Wan called, watching through the Force as the massive vessel prepared for launch. "Whatever ritual is powering it, we need to disrupt it now." "Entrance ahead," Anakin pointed toward massive doors beginning to close. "Through there. That's where the Nexus is strongest," Blue Team charged. Kelly hit the closing doors with Spartan speed and braced them open with superhuman strength. Linda provided covering fire while Chief and Anakin pushed through into the pyramid's interior. What they found was horror given architectural form. The chamber stretched impossibly large, larger than the pyramid's exterior dimensions should allow. Walls carved with Sith runes that writhed like living things. Floor made from crystals that pulsed with corrupted Force energy, and at the center, suspended in dark side lightning, a throne. Palpatine's throne. Empty but radiating presence as if he sat there still. And around the throne, thousands of cultists channeled their life force into the ritual that powered the eclipse's ascent. They were dying as Chief watched, flesh withering, bones crumbling, but they did so willingly, ecstatically, giving everything to fuel their Dark Lord's final weapon. "This is insane," Anakin breathed. "They're sacrificing themselves. Why?" "Because Palpatine promised them immortality through the dark side," Obi-Wan replied, having caught up with the strike force. "They believe their deaths fuel the Empire's return. They die willingly because they think they'll be resurrected when Palpatine rises again." "Palpatine is powerless in a cell on Coruscant," Mace Windu stated. "He can't rise again." "Can't he?" A voice echoed through the chamber. Palpatine's voice, recorded long ago but playing now with perfect timing. "Did you truly believe imprisoning this body ended my plans? I am more than flesh. I am the dark side eternal. I am the culmination of Sith legacy, and I have transcended mortality itself." The throne erupted with crimson energy. From it emerged not Palpatine's body, that remained imprisoned, but his essence. A manifestation of pure dark side power, given form through ritual and sacrifice. The Force ghost was wrong, twisted. Where Jedi Force spirits were peaceful presences, this was hatred crystallized into semi-corporeal existence. Palpatine's yellow eyes blazed from a face that shifted between corporeality and shadow. "You came," the apparition said with satisfaction, "just as I knew you would. The Jedi's predictable heroism, the Spartans' inability to ignore a threat. You walked into my final trap willingly." "You're dead," Anakin stated, though his lightsaber trembled slightly. "This is just an echo, a recording." "Am I?" The apparition gestured, and cultists who'd already died rose again, reanimated through dark side necromancy. "I learned these techniques from Sith masters who predated the Republic. Death is not an ending for those with power sufficient to defy it." This body may be contained, but my essence endures. And through the eclipse, through the final order fleet, I will reshape the galaxy from beyond the grave." The reanimated cultists attacked with strength that exceeded their living capabilities. Spartans found themselves fighting enemies who felt no pain, ignored fatal wounds, and fought with dark side enhancement that made them nearly as fast as the armored super soldiers. "Destroy the throne," Chief commanded. "That's the ritual's anchor. Without it, the eclipse loses power." "I cannot allow that," Palpatine's ghost replied. Lightning erupted from his spectral hands, not limited by flesh, not constrained by injured nerves. Pure dark side power channeled through ritual hatred. The lightning struck Chief's armor with force that made Dooku's attack feel gentle. Systems failed, shields collapsed. The Spartan dropped to one knee as electricity cooked circuits and burned flesh beneath Mjolnir plating. Anakin moved between Chief and Palpatine, his lightsaber grounding the lightning. "You lost, Palpatine. We stopped you on Coruscant. We exposed your conspiracy. We freed the clones. Everything you built is falling apart. Is it?" The ghost smiled with malevolence that transcended physical form. "Look around, young Skywalker. Your fleet is losing. The Ziston destroyers are winning. And when the eclipse launches, it will join the battle and annihilate everyone who opposed me. You haven't won. You've merely delayed the inevitable." Through the pyramid's walls, transparent now through Sith alchemy, they could see the space battle raging. Infinity was holding, but barely. Her shields were failing. Her Mac cannons had destroyed 6 Existence-class destroyers, but 6 remained, and they were coordinating fire. As Chief watched, a Separatist Providence-class carrier took a direct hit. The vessel broke in half, atmosphere venting along with 15,000 crew who'd defected from Palpatine's manipulation only to die fighting his ghost. "We're losing," Mace Windu stated, with Jedi detachment that barely masked despair. "Even if we destroy the throne, the fleet will fall before we can evacuate." "Then we make the sacrifice count," Chief replied, forcing himself upright despite damaged systems. "Kelly, Linda, plant every explosive we have on that throne. Maximum yield. Coordinates for orbital bombardment." "Chief, that'll bring the pyramid down on top of us," Kelly warned. "I know." Anakin looked at the Spartan with sudden understanding. "You're going to call Mac strikes on this position. Destroy the eclipse before it launches, but we're in the blast radius." "Spartans complete the mission," Chief stated simply. "Getting home is secondary." "There has to be another way." "There isn't. The math is simple. We die or the galaxy dies. The UNSC made that choice before. We'll make it again." Palpatine's ghost laughed. "Willing to sacrifice yourselves? How noble, but ultimately futile. Even if you destroy this body, I have others. Clones prepared decades ago. Vessels waiting across the galaxy. You cannot kill what refuses to die." "Watch us," Chief replied. He activated his comm despite the interference. "Captain Lasky, fire mission. Coordinates transmitted. Maximum yield. Danger close." "Chief," Lasky's voice carried pain across the static. "That'll kill everyone in that facility." "Acknowledged. Fire anyway. That's an order." The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then, Mac cannons targeted, firing in 60 seconds. "Chief, it's been an honor." "Likewise, sir." Palpatine's manifestation surged with rage. "No, I will not be defeated by cattle from another galaxy. I am eternal." The ghost attacked with everything: lightning, force attacks, dark side corruption that tried to turn heroes into slaves. Jedi met him with lightsabers and resolve. Spartans met him with weapons and determination. And in the chaos, Kelly and Linda placed 40 pounds of C-12 explosive on Palpatine's throne with Spartan precision. "Charges set," Kelly reported. 30 seconds to detonation. "Everyone out," Chief commanded. "Move, now." They ran, through cultists who died and risen again, through corridors that tried to close and trap them, through a pyramid designed to prevent exactly this kind of escape. 15 seconds. The Pelicans launched with engines screaming, overloaded with personnel they weren't designed to carry. 10 seconds. Palpatine's ghost screamed defiance that shook Exegol's foundations. 5 seconds. The Mac rounds entered atmosphere, their passage igniting the air itself. 0. The throne exploded, the ritual shattered, and 4 3,000-ton tungsten slugs struck Exegol's surface at 4% light speed. The impact was apocalyptic. 4 Mac rounds struck Exegol's surface, with combined kinetic energy equivalent to a small asteroid collision. The pyramid didn't collapse, it vaporized. The ritual chamber, Palpatine's throne, the Eclipse's power nexus, and every cultist who'd sacrificed themselves for Sith immortality were reduced to superheated plasma in microseconds. The Eclipse, half-launched and dependent on the ritual for power, lost all energy simultaneously. Its massive hull, kilometers of durasteel and dark-side alchemy, became dead weight. It fell back toward the planet, crushing half-constructed Zistan destroyers beneath its bulk, before striking Exegol's surface with an impact that cracked the planetary crust. Chief's Pelican tumbled through the shockwave, its engines failing as the pilot fought for control. Through the cockpit window, he watched the planet below fracture like broken glass, massive fissures spreading across continents, magma erupting from depths never meant to see light. "We're going down," the pilot shouted. "Brace for impact." The Pelican struck Exegol's surface hard enough to cave in one side of the hull. Chief's armor absorbed the worst of it, but his already damaged systems finally gave up. His HUD went black, his shields offline, his weapons dead. He kicked open the twisted door and stumbled out into hell. Exegol was dying. The Mac strikes had destabilized the planet's core, triggering geological collapse that would consume the world within hours. Around him, the remains of Palpatine's facility burned, not with normal fire, but with dark side energy released from containment, creating flames that corrupted everything they touched. "Blue team, sound off," Chief commanded through backup comms. "Kelly here, legs broken but mobile, armor at 15%. Linda operational, rifles destroyed, down to sidearm. Fred, still in medical bay where I should have stayed, but I'm watching through feeds. Chief, the fleet's in bad shape." Through the burning sky, Chief could see the space battle continuing. Infinity's shields had failed entirely. She was fighting on armor and determination alone. Of the original escort fleet, only 3 vessels remained, the rest reduced to expanding debris fields. But the Zistan-class destroyers were dying too. Infinity's Mac cannons, firing beyond rated capacity, had destroyed 9 of the 12 operational vessels. The remaining 3 were damaged, burning, and attempting to retreat into Exegol's atmosphere, where Infinity couldn't follow without risking catastrophic entry. "All ships, this is Captain Lasky," the command broadcast echoed across every frequency. "Exegol is undergoing planetary collapse. We have maybe 10 minutes before the gravity well becomes too unstable for safe slipspace transition. All surviving forces, immediate evacuation. Leave nothing behind that can be recovered later." "Sir, the Sith facilities," Commander Palmer protested. "The weapons, the research, the technology, if we leave it, someone could recover." "The planet is self-destructing," Roland interrupted, his avatar appearing on every ship's display. "Geological models show complete planetary fragmentation in 9 minutes 43 seconds. Nothing here will survive. Nature is handling the cleanup for us. Chief looked around at scattered Spartans picking themselves up from the crash. 43 had deployed, 37 were rising. 6 red bio signs on his motion tracker, warriors who'd given everything to stop Palpatine's final contingency. "Spartans, consolidate at my position," Chief ordered. "Anyone too injured to walk gets carried. We leave together or not at all." They gathered, battered, bleeding but alive. Kelly limped on her broken leg with Linda's support. Commander Locke had lost his helmet and sported burns across his face. ODSTs who'd survived carried their fallen brothers, refusing to leave bodies for Exegol's collapse to claim. And walking toward them through the flames came Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Mace Windu. The Jedi Masters looked as exhausted as the Spartans felt. 3 Force users who'd confronted a Sith Lord's ghost and survived. "Is he gone?" Chief asked, gesturing toward the crater where the pyramid had stood. "Palpatine's manifestation." "Gone from here," Obi-Wan confirmed. "But Chief, he was right about something. The dark side doesn't die easily. He may have bodies elsewhere. Clones prepared as vessels for his essence. We destroyed this contingency, but then we hunt the others," Chief interrupted, "one by one until there's nothing left. That could take years. Spartans have time." A pelican descended through the burning atmosphere, its hull scorched but functional. The bay doors opened, revealing Captain Lasky himself at the controls. "I wasn't letting my Spartans die on this rock without trying to save them," Lasky stated. "Everyone who can fit, get aboard. We've got maybe 5 minutes before this planet tears itself apart." They piled into the Pelican. Spartans, ODSTs, and Jedi crammed together without regard for rank or origin. The dropship lifted with engines straining under the overload. As they climbed toward orbit, Chief watched Exegol die below. Continents crumbled, oceans boiled away. The Eclipse's shattered hull melted into magma flows. Everything Palpatine had built here, decades of preparation, unimaginable resources, weapons meant to enslave galaxies, reduced to cosmic debris. All vessels, emergency slipspace transition in 30 seconds, Roland announced. Coordinates set for Coruscant. "This is going to be rough. The gravity well's collapse is making navigation unpredictable. Some ships may arrive off target." "Just get us home," Lasky replied. The countdown began. Infinity's remaining frigates formed up around her damaged bulk. Republic and Separatist vessels, former enemies now united by survival, positioned for coordinated jump. And across every ship, warriors who'd given everything to stop Palpatine's empire watched as the Sith world died. 5 seconds. The last Ziston-class destroyer, damaged beyond repair, attempted to follow the evacuating fleet, its hyperdrive activated, and failed. The gravity well's collapse disrupted the jump. The destroyer folded in on itself, crushed by its own malfunctioning drive. "Zero! Jump!" Reality tore open. The fleet disappeared into dimensional corridors just as Exegol's planetary core detonated with force visible across star systems. The transition was violent. Ships tumbled through slipspace with hulls groaning under stresses they weren't designed to endure. Infinity's Forerunner-derived drive held, but barely. 2 Republic Star destroyers didn't make it. Their hyperdrives failed mid-jump, leaving them stranded in dimensional space forever. But most survived. Most emerged into Coruscant's orbital space, battered, burning, but alive. The planet below had changed in the hours they'd been gone. The Senate had convened emergency sessions. Clone commanders had rounded up every trooper with active chips for surgical removal. Separatist commanders who'd learned of Palpatine's manipulation were arriving under truce flags to discuss peace. And in the Jedi Temple's detention level, Palpatine sat in his cell, his Force abilities severed, His hands cauterized stumps, but he was smiling. "It's not over," the former Sith Lord said, when Mace Windu came to inform him of Exegol's destruction. "You think destroying one facility ends me? I am the dark side eternal. I have prepared for every contingency. You've won a battle, Jedi, but the war is over," Windu interrupted. "Your eclipse is destroyed. Your final order fleet is scrap. Your cultists are dead, and the galaxy knows what you are. There is no empire, no grand plan, just a broken old man who thought himself a god." For the first time, something like doubt flickered in Palpatine's yellow eyes. "Mazameda gave us everything," Windu continued. "Every hidden facility, every sleeper agent, every clone body you prepared. We're dismantling your organization piece by piece, and when we're done, the only place you'll exist is history books, a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition." He left Palpatine in silence, something the Sith Lord had never experienced before. Always there had been plans, backup schemes, contingencies within contingencies, but Exegol had been the final one, the ultimate guarantee of Sith immortality, and it was gone. In Infinity's medical bay, Dr. Halsey worked on Chief's armor damage while the Spartans stood statue still. Around them, the bay filled with wounded, Spartans, ODSTs, clones, Jedi, species and factions that had never shared space before the UNSC arrived, now crowded together in triage. "Your armor took severe damage," Halsey observed, removing scorched plating. "Multiple system failures, thermal damage to neural interface. Chief, you should have been killed 3 times during that operation." "Spartans are hard to kill," Chief replied. "So I've noticed." She paused, her hands stilling on a damaged power coupling. "John, I created you, augmented you, turned you into a weapon before you were old enough to consent. I've spent 40 years justifying those choices, but watching you here, in this galaxy, fighting wars that aren't yours to save people you'll never see again, I wonder if I created something better than I deserved." Chief looked at the woman who'd stolen his childhood and gave him purpose. "You created what humanity needed, Doctor. The rest I chose myself." Kelly approached, her broken leg freshly set and splinted by UNSC medical technology far beyond what Star Wars medicine could offer. "Chief, the Jedi Council wants to meet with us. Something about gratitude and formal thanks. Tell them we'll come when we're combat effective again." "I think they mean now." The Jedi Council chamber had survived the temple attack, though blast scoring marked where clone fire had nearly breached its walls. Master Yoda sat in his customary position, ancient eyes studying the Spartans who entered, with Jedi respect but military bearing. "Master Chief," Yoda greeted. "Blue Team, gratitude the Jedi Order owes you. Stopped Palpatine's final weapon, you did. Saved countless lives. Debt beyond measure this is." "We did what needed doing," Chief replied simply. "No debt required." "Yet acknowledge it we must," Mace Windu said, his stern features softened by genuine respect. "The Spartans fought beside us when you had no obligation, risked your lives for a galaxy not your own. The Jedi Order does not forget such service." Obi-Wan stepped forward with something wrapped in cloth. "We can't replace what you've lost, the warriors who fell at Exegol, but we can honor their sacrifice." He unwrapped the cloth, revealing lightsaber crystals, Kyber crystals, but different. These pulsed with pure light, untainted by dark side corruption. 7 of them, 1 for each Spartan who died destroying the eclipse. "These crystals come from the temple's heart," Obi-Wan explained. "They represent the light side's gratitude. We'll create a memorial here, a monument to warriors from beyond our galaxy who gave everything to protect ours." Chief accepted the crystals with hands that had held weapons, killed enemies, and saved countless lives across 4 decades. They were Spartans. They died completing the mission. That's the greatest honor we know. Then we'll ensure their names endure, Anakin promised. In our archives, in our teachings, future Jedi will know that Spartans from the UNSC fought beside us. That courage transcends galaxies. As the ceremony concluded, Captain Lasky's voice crackled across Chief's comm. "Chief, we need you on the bridge. Priority contact from, well, you're not going to believe who." On Infinity's bridge, the holographic display showed a figure Chief recognized from intelligence briefings. General Grievous, the cyborg who'd killed 200 Jedi, the same warrior Chief had defeated and captured on Christophsis months ago. But Grievous looked different now, diminished. His armor was simpler, his posture less aggressive. And when he spoke, his vocabulary carried something Chief had never heard from the cyborg general before: respect. "Master Chief," Grievous acknowledged, "I heard you destroyed Palpatine's eclipse, stopped the Final Order, freed the clones from slavery." He paused. "I was wrong about you. When we fought, I thought you were another soldier, another piece in the war. But you're something else, something I haven't seen in this galaxy, a warrior who fights for principles instead of power." "What do you want, Grievous?" Chief asked, bypassing pleasantries. "To offer something. The Separatist alliance is fracturing. Some want peace, some want continued war. But all of us know now that we were pawns in Palpatine's game. I'm proposing something unprecedented, a meeting between Republic, Separatist, and UNSC leadership to discuss actual peace. Not the manipulated conflict Palpatine orchestrated, but genuine reconciliation." Mace Windu, present on the bridge, looked skeptical. "You've killed hundreds of Jedi, Grievous. Why should we trust you?" "Because I'm tired," the cyborg admitted. "Tired of war, tired of being a weapon, tired of killing for someone else's vision. I was Kaleesh warrior before I became this." He gestured at his mechanical body. "I fought to protect my people. Then Dooku transformed me into a monster and I forgot why I'd started fighting. But watching Spartans, warriors who could have walked away from this galaxy's problems, choose to stay and fight, it reminded me what honor looks like." "The Separatists will follow you?" Obi-Wan asked. "Enough will. Those who wanted legitimate independence rather than Sith manipulation. We can build something better than what Palpatine destroyed." Captain Lasky looked at the Jedi Masters, then at Chief. "Thoughts?" "Peace is better than war," Chief stated. "If Grievous is serious, we should try. Even after he tried to kill you. I've worked with former enemies before. The Arbiter was hunting me across the galaxy before we became allies against the Flood. If Grievous wants peace, we give him the chance to prove it." The peace talks began 3 weeks later on Naboo, neutral ground chosen for its symbolic significance to both factions. Republic senators, Separatist commanders, Jedi masters, and UNSC leadership gathered in halls designed for beauty, not war. The negotiations were brutal. Grievances accumulated over 3 years of Clone Wars didn't disappear with Palpatine's exposure. Republic senators demanded accountability for Separatist war crimes. Separatist leaders demanded recognition of legitimate independence movements. Clones demanded citizenship and rights. Jedi demanded reforms to prevent future Sith manipulation. But slowly, painfully, compromises emerged. The Republic would grant autonomy to Outer Rim systems with legitimate independence movements. Separatist forces would disarm under Republic supervision. Clones would receive full citizenship, medical care, and pensions, and a new governing structure, neither pure Republic nor Separatist, would emerge from the ashes of Palpatine's manipulation. They called it the Galactic Alliance, imperfect, fragile, but genuine. Chief watched the treaty signing from Infinity's observation deck. Beside him, Ahsoka Tano, no longer just a Padawan but a Jedi Knight after her role in the Exegol operation, studied the Spartan with quiet curiosity. "You're thinking about leaving," she observed. "We've been here 4 months," Chief replied. "Our mission was to find a way home. We got sidetracked stopping a Sith Lord's empire." "Some sidetrack. You changed this galaxy, Chief. The Republic and Separatists are talking instead of fighting. The clones are free. Palpatine's conspiracy is destroyed. None of that happens without the UNSC. You would have found another way." "Would we?" Ahsoka challenged. "The Jedi were blind to Palpatine for decades. The Republic was rotting from within. Without outside intervention, without Spartans who didn't care about our politics or our Force traditions, we'd have lost everything." Chief was silent, watching distant stars that weren't his stars. Somewhere out there, maybe in another galaxy, maybe in another dimension, the UNSC was fighting the created, or the flood, or whatever crisis had emerged in their absence. His brothers and sisters needed him, but this galaxy had needed him too, and maybe still did. "Captain Lasky has a proposal," Chief said finally. "The hyperspace ring technology, the hybrid drives that let us move between galaxies. We could go home, try to return to the UNSC, but you're not sure you should," Ahsoka finished. "Palpatine's dead. His empire is stopped. But there are other threats. Other Sith artifacts we haven't found. Other dark side users who might try to fill the void. The galaxy needs protection. The galaxy has Jedi, has clones, has the Galactic Alliance. It also has 3 million freed clones who see Spartans as the brothers who saved them, has Jedi who've learned to work with non-Force users, has a chance to build something better than what came before. Maybe the UNSC could help with that." Ahsoka smiled. "You're making excuses to stay. John 1:17, the Spartan who never quit, is finding reasons not to go home." "It's not home I'm avoiding," Chief clarified. "It's leaving unfinished work. Spartans complete the mission." "Is the mission ever really complete?" Before Chief could answer, Kelly's voice interrupted across comms. "Chief, you need to see this. The hyperspace rings. Roland's analyzed them with our slipspace technology. He thinks he's found something." In Infinity's science bay, Roland's avatar stood before holographic projections that showed dimensional mathematics so complex, even Spartans couldn't fully parse them. "The hyperspace rings were salvaged from Separatist technology," Roland explained. "But when I integrated them with our Forerunner-derived slipspace drive, something unexpected happened. The two technologies didn't just combine, they resonated, created a harmonic frequency that opens dimensional barriers more precisely than either technology alone." "Meaning what?" Captain Lasky asked. "Meaning we can go home," Roland stated. "I can calculate a return path to the UNSC's galaxy with 93% confidence, but there's more. The resonance is bidirectional. We could come back. Not easily. Each transition would require recalibration and significant power. But the Star Wars galaxy isn't permanently isolated from ours anymore. We've created a bridge. The implications settled over everyone present." "We could go home and come back," Fred said from his medical bed. "Still recovering but mobile enough to attend via hologram. Bring UNSC resources, share technology, establish formal contact between galaxies." "Or we could stay," Kelly countered. "Keep helping this galaxy stabilize. There's work here, Chief. Good work, important work." Chief looked at his team, the Spartans who'd followed him into hell more times than he could count. Then at the Jedi, the clones, the UNSC personnel, who'd become invested in this galaxy's fate. Then Lasky, whose decision as captain would ultimately determine Infinity's next move. "Captain?" Chief prompted. Lasky was quiet for a long moment, studying star charts that showed two galaxies, one familiar, one adopted. Finally, he spoke with command authority that carried weight earned through crisis. "We go home," Lasky decided, "but not permanently. We report to UNSC Command, share what we've learned, request formal diplomatic resources. Then we come back. The Star Wars galaxy deserves support, not abandonment. And the UNSC has always protected those who couldn't protect themselves." "Even across dimensional barriers?" Commander Palmer asked. "Especially across dimensional barriers. That's what makes us human, giving a damn about people we'll never meet, fighting for causes bigger than ourselves, building bridges instead of walls." He turned to Chief. "Master Chief, when we return, I'm recommending you lead the UNSC's Star Wars Galaxy Liaison Team. Spartans, Jedi, clones working together to prevent future threats. Someone needs to make sure Palpatine's legacy stays dead. Someone needs to be the bridge between galaxies. That's you." Chief felt the weight of the assignment, not burden, but purpose. "Understood, sir. When do we leave?" 72 hours. Gives everyone time for goodbyes. This galaxy's become home for some of our people. They deserve proper farewells." The next 3 days were a blur of ceremonies, briefings, and final coordinations. The Galactic Alliance formally thanked the UNSC. Clones held memorial services for the Spartans who'd fallen. Jedi trained with remaining. UNSC personnel learning tactics that would endure after Infinity departed. And in the Jedi Temple's archives, a new monument rose, black stone carved with names, in honor of Spartans who gave their lives, defending a galaxy not their own below it. 7 kyber crystals glowed with perpetual light. On the final day, Chief stood before the monument with Blue Team, paying respects to warriors who'd completed the mission at ultimate cost. "They'd be proud," Fred said quietly. "We stopped a Sith Empire, saved billions of lives, completed impossible missions. That's what Spartans do." "They're always with us," Linda added, her usually stoic voice carrying rare emotion. "Every mission, every fight. The brothers and sisters who fell remind us why we keep going." Kelly placed her hand on the monument's surface. "See you on the other side, warriors. When our time comes." Anakin approached, his presence now carrying gravitas that came from surviving darkness and choosing light. "The Jedi will remember them, Chief. Every generation of younglings will learn about the Spartans from beyond the stars. They'll become legends." "They were soldiers," Chief replied. "They'd want to be remembered as that. Not heroes, not legends, just soldiers who did their duty." "In the Jedi Order, there's no higher honor," Obi-Wan said, having joined them silently. "We understand duty, service, sacrifice. Your fallen Spartans embodied everything the Jedi aspire to be." As the sun set over Coruscant, the first peaceful sunset in years, Infinity's crew gathered for final boarding. Hundreds of warriors who'd arrived as strangers now departed as something more. Family forged in combat, brothers and sisters across species and galaxies. Chief was last aboard, pausing at the boarding ramp to look back at the galaxy he was leaving, temporarily. The bridge between dimensions meant this wasn't goodbye forever. Just see you later. "Chief," Ahsoka called from the landing platform, "when you come back, and I know you will, there'll be new threats, new challenges. The galaxy always has problems." "Then we'll face them together," Chief replied. "Spartans and Jedi. That's a combination even Sith Lords can't beat." She smiled, her mantrals catching the sunset light. "May the Force be with you, John 117. And with you, Padawan Tano. Infinity's engines powered up. The massive vessel lifted from Coruscant's surface with majesty that made even Jedi pause to watch. Around her, a small escort fleet. Republic vessels crewed by clones who'd volunteered to witness the UNSC's departure maintained honorary formation. On the bridge, Captain Lasky sat in his command chair with Chief standing beside him. Through the viewports, the Star Wars galaxy spread infinite and beautiful. "Roland," Lasky ordered, "activate dimensional drive. Plot course for home." "Coordinates locked," the AI confirmed. "Slipspace drive integrated with hyperspace rings. This is completely experimental and might kill us all. But at this point, what's one more risk?" "Inspirational as always, Roland. Execute jump on my mark." The bridge crew took their positions. Spartans secured for transition. Jedi observers who'd requested to witness the dimensional crossing braced for the unknown. "Chief," Lasky said quietly, "last chance. We could stay, make this galaxy our permanent assignment. No one would blame you for choosing that." Chief thought about the Milky Way, about Earth, about the UNSC fighting wars while Infinity was missing, about brothers and sisters who needed the galaxy's most experienced Spartan. But he also thought about Cortana, wherever she was now, about promises made and missions incomplete, about a home that was more than just geography. "We go home," Chief stated. "We report, we return. That's the mission." Lasky nodded, understanding in his expression. "Helm, execute jump. All hands, stand by for dimensional transition. Let's see if this crazy plan actually works." The countdown began. Forerunner slipspace drives merged with separatist hyperspace rings in a hybrid configuration that shouldn't exist. Energy built to levels that made reality itself strained. 5 seconds. Chief watched the Star Wars galaxy through viewports, committing it to memory. 3 seconds. Somewhere below, clones stood at attention. Jedi meditated on the bridge that had been built. Citizens celebrated peace they'd never expected to see. 1 second. Reality tore open. Not the clean tunnel of hyperspace, not the violent rupture of slipspace, but something new, a corridor between galaxies that bridged dimensions with technology and hope. Infinity disappeared from the Star Wars galaxy, leaving behind legends, friendships, and promises to return. On Coruscant, in his cell, Palpatine felt the UNSC's departure through disturbances in the Force. The Spartans were leaving. His greatest opponents, the variables he'd never predicted, were gone. For the first time in weeks, the Sith Lord allowed himself to hope. Perhaps in their absence, his remaining agents could recover lost ground. Perhaps the Empire wasn't completely dead. Then Mace Windu entered with a datapad. "Palpatine, the Galactic Alliance has reached a decision about your fate. You're to be transferred to a maximum security facility on a remote world. No servants, no contact, just you and the silence until you die of old age, which, given your dark side corruption, might be centuries. Enjoy your immortality." As Windu left, Palpatine's hope died. The UNSC had taught the galaxy something he'd never anticipated, that threats could be contained without execution, that justice existed beyond revenge, and that even Sith Lords could face consequences worse than death. Living forever in powerless isolation, the ultimate irony for one who'd sought eternal rule. Across dimensional barriers, Infinity emerged into the Milky Way galaxy. Sensors immediately painted familiar constellations. Home. "Welcome back, Infinity," a transmission crackled across their comms. "This is UNSC Autumn. We've been looking for you for 4 months. Where the hell have you been?" Captain Lasky smiled. "That's a long story. Tell Fleet Admiral Hood we're returning to Earth, and someone's going to want to hear about the galaxy we found." Chief stood at the viewport, looking at stars he recognized. Home. Finally. But part of him was already planning the return trip, because the Star Wars galaxy was more than just an accidental destination now. It was a responsibility, a promise, a bond forged in combat between warriors from different realities who'd learned that courage, honor, and sacrifice transcended dimensions. "Chief," Kelly asked, "what are you thinking?" "That we've got work to do," Chief replied, "here and there. The mission's bigger now, spans galaxies, but Spartans don't quit. We'll handle it." "Together?" "Always together. Blue Team. Forever." As Infinity set course for Earth, carrying warriors who'd saved 2 galaxies and forged bonds that would endure across dimensions, one truth remained absolute. Some missions never ended. Some fights transcended space and time. And some warriors, Spartans, Jedi, clones, and everyone who chose to stand against darkness, would keep fighting no matter where the galaxy took them, because that's what heroes did. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because it was right. And when you knew what was right, the rest was just completing the mission. 6 months later, Star Wars Galaxy, Coruscant, a dimensional rift opened in orbit, not as violent as before, controlled, precise. UNSC Infinity emerged, accompanied by 3 other vessels. Not warships this time. Diplomatic ships, science vessels, aid transports. On Coruscant's surface, Ahsoka Tano felt the arrival through the Force and smiled. "They came back." "Of course they did," Anakin replied, standing beside his former Padawan. "Spartans complete the mission, and protecting this galaxy, that's a mission worth completing." The first Pelican descended carrying familiar figures in Mjolnir armor. Master Chief, Blue Team, and the beginning of something unprecedented. The Galactic Alliance UNSC partnership. 2 galaxies, infinite possibilities, and warriors who'd proven that courage knew no dimensional boundaries.